And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 11th round of the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series, our second to final race of the year, and our final oval on the calendar here at Auto Club Speedway. We head to California for what is, in my opinion, one of the best ovals in the entire circuit of tracks we run this season, and on the entire service of iRacing as a whole. We run, I believe, 5 or 6 ovals, or 6 in total if you include our All-Star race, which was initially supposed to be at Homestead, then of course unfortunately did not happen. If you include that, then we run 5 ovals this season. So what a year it has been at the ovals. We've had some truly incredible races, some photo finishes like back at Indy, that incredible finish in which Michael Nichols scored his first of 2 wins this season, the other coming last week at Mossport. But hi everybody, I am your host, founder of this series and the former Carts to Computers Racing Series. This series kind of former alter ego, if you will. I am your host, Marshall Crocker Jr. So for anything related to Full Send Racing Network, when we go back to the Bandit Racing League coverage in just a week's time from Wednesday, that is coming up. So stay tuned for that. If you were somebody who's happened to jump over from the Bandit series at the end of last year, came over to check out this series with a slightly different community. But if you were excited about that series coming back, it is coming back very soon. But for the time being, we have a series here. We got to declare a champion, and we have 2 more races to go this week, and then the track selected for the All-Star race, which was of course won by Trevor Anderson, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And speaking of Trevor Anderson, who is just about to begin his qualifying efforts, as we're looking at Jack Hillier here, who right at the end of qualifying gets a tap there coming off turns 1 and 2 and gets sent into a spin in the outside wall. But once he comes on track, which he should be in just a moment, we're going to quickly jump to Trevor Anderson's perspective and talk a little bit about, well, not our series points leader, but the former series points leader and the winner of our All-Star race, one of your 3 championship contenders for next week. And, well, he is in a pretty favorable position tonight because Trevor Anderson, as you see him just exiting the pits as we speak, Trevor Anderson is the only driver of our Championship 3, and we'll talk more about them when we get to your points in just a moment, the only driver in the Championship 3 who will be running tonight's race here at Auto Club. Andrew Bedrossian, having some connection issues, appears to not be running the race, and Nick Nickerson, unfortunately, due to a work complication, was unable to make it for the race. So this is going to get interesting championship-wise. The question is, with the drop race next week, how many points can Trevor rack up as the 2 drivers that are going to miss tonight's race? Those results will just be wiped. So Trevor is going to really need to capitalize tonight, try to get every point he possibly can out of that race car. But we are into qualifying now. You see the timer up on the top left, but there is my face, as usual, up in front of the virtual Auto Club Speedway, or actually a real-life photo of Auto Club Speedway out in California with the massive mountains behind this 2-mile racetrack. And what a track it is. You're going to see in just a moment as we go to some of these wider shots, the guys just heading out for the first of their qualifying attempts here. And the biggest thing in qualifying, as has been the case a number of times this season at the bigger ovals, is going to be the draft, the slipstream. That is the main thing you want to get. If you can really get yourself lined up behind a number of cars, as well, apparently so far David Paxa has not done. He is at the front of this queue and really doesn't have any draft help up there. Up front, he is, however, in front of 2 other cars who may be getting the benefit of it, including Max Preston, who goes to the top of the board early on in tonight's qualifying session. There you see David on the top side, dropping back a little bit, is going to give the slipstream to these guys, or including Dan Skilton behind him, who has to swerve on the exit of turn number 2 in order to get by. But Auto Club Speedway, as you can see, one of the bigger ovals on the circuit this season, a 2-miler in length. So the slipstream is going to play a massive part tonight. Going to be very wide. You're going to see some 3 wide, some 4 wide. Do not be surprised if you happen to see 5 wide at some point throughout the broadcast. It is just going to be one of those nights, I assure you. Here we see Max Preston and David Paxa getting all set up for this lap. Dan Skilton's going to put in a 39.8 early on in qualifying. Dan, who's had a really great rookie season so far in the series, has yet to register a pole to this point. Could he be on track for his first? Jack Hillier, who remember was great back in Indianapolis, he's just getting his footing now, and he puts it in the 6th best time there so far in qualifying, running a 40.67, a decent ways off the top time of 39.82. So Dan Skilton setting the benchmark early on. And remember those sectors there you see on the bottom of your screen? You got the green line and the purple line. The purple meaning it is the best of anybody, the best anybody has run in a particular sector all race, and the green meaning it is a personal best for that given driver. But what a race we are in for here as we see a couple drivers moving up the timing tower, including Michael Nickel, who goes up to second. Michael Nickel, last week's race winner, picked up his first road course win in series history in a crazy race at Mossport, one that Mitch Morrow was quite quick at most of the race, but then some complications for him meant that he did not come away with the win, and instead that went to Michael. Mitch Morrow, your final driver, who should be running in tonight's race, as far as I'm aware, who has yet to jump onto the leaderboard, and there he goes. Only running, I think it was a 43-second time. Something must have happened to that car. He just kind of backed out, but whatever it was, he is, well, he's on the leaderboard at least, but unfortunately for the time being, he is only 13th. But I'm sure that is going to improve momentarily. But yeah, what a race we're in for tonight, as we'll get the lovely sounds of the cars on, get them ready to go here. There we go. You should start to hear the engine purring there in the background for the number 66 of Mitch Morrow. But further up in the field, we're seeing some times being continue to be knocked down. Fred Zufelt just ran his personal best of the session of 40.06. So we're getting close to that 40-second barrier, but still, guys are having a tough time finding a way to cross over. Look at there in the middle of the timing tower, though, from 6th down to 10th, a gap of less than a 10th of a second between those 5 drivers. So it's definitely going to be a competitive session here, but right now, Dan Skilton continuing to find success there in that number 1 spot. So your provisional pole sitter might get toppled, I should say. There's the word, as Marshall Crocker's going to go up to 4th. There we go, right as I was saying it. Some guys got some really great drafts that lap, and the slipstream kind of got set up there quite well for Christopher Mitchell, the 94 car, now going to the top of the leaderboard with a 39.773, making him the provisional pole sitter as we come to about the halfway point here in qualifying. But again, what a race we are in for here. David Lakey on a fast first sector. We'll see if he can follow that up in the second sector. David also has yet to score a pole this season, but again, tonight could be his first. Goes way wide, super wide line there. Wouldn't have thought that would be quite as beneficial. He's actually gotten passed by a few drivers, so going to be decent. Don't think it'll be quick enough. David Paxa should improve. He does. Max Preston's going to go to the pole by a full 10th and almost a half. A 39.6 there, 6.4 there for the number 8 of Max Preston. That blue and yellow entry on the bottom line you see going by your screen. Max, I believe he has 1 pole this season. Somehow does not have a win to his name, and incredibly so, considering the talent and historical speed in this series of Max Preston. He's going to be at a pretty favorable spot again this lap there with the slipstream. Almost some contact between Tanner Dicknard and David Paxa coming through turns 3 and 4. And again, I think it's just going to be these guys that can really get their slipstream set up, come from way back and just shoot by some guys. David Lakey going to cross the line this time. Going to go for, I believe, a 40-second flat. He will. He's going to jump up into 6th, but not good enough to improve. We're going to go on board here with David Lakey as we come through turns 1 and 2. And you see he's just sucked up to the back bumper of the 15 of Marshall Crocker. Almost making a little bit of contact. Narrowly avoids contact there. The depth of field is a little bit tough to determine, but Mitch Morrow's gone off track again. He's just going to park it in the infield. Wondering if we're seeing some issues there for perhaps the 66 of Mitch Morrow. Hopefully not. He's had such a great second half of the season so far this year, but we have not been prone to internet or hardware-related issues in the series in the past. But as we go under the finish line, we've got this cool finish pan cam we're going to use for tonight. It's somebody was just sent off track. Massive contact off the inside wall. I think that was Marshall Crocker Sr. It was huge damage for the number 15, so he's going to have to take a full reset back to pit road. Start from scratch here. Never something you want to do. Certainly not out of it, because you always have quick repairs in this series, but it is rough when you got to restart all the way from the beginning. Get lined up back with this draft pack again, and he is going to need to do so if he wants to improve upon his lap time. Off of turn number 3 and 4, here comes the pack, and David Paxa there leading the front of the group right now in qualifying. He had a great first sector, but we'll see about the second. No slipstream for him. Hayden Paul's been in the draft all the way around. This could be the pole time for the newcomer. I believe it will be a 39.418, but no, he's beaten by Christopher Mitchell by only 0.08 of a second. Great lap for both of those two drivers. Hayden Paul making his debut in the series. So great to have him joining us. He's a newcomer to the Bandit Racing League in just a couple weeks. Found out about this series, figured he'd try his hand here in our race tonight at Auto Club. And what a start for the one-off driver, currently sitting provisionally on the front row. But that number 1 spot is still occupied by Christopher Mitchell. Again, a rookie to the series. Set a really good, really consistent year overall. And what a night if he were able to come away with the pole and potentially convert that into a really solid race result. Tanner Dignard going to put it in the 39.9s. That might improve his time. It will. He's going to improve to a 7th place grid spot. David Lakey up into 5th there, running only 0.4 off of your provisional pole by Christopher Mitchell. 2 minutes to go here in qualifying. And again, just looking around, trying to tell who may be in a favorable position to get a good slipstream on this lap. This kind of second pack is doing everything they can to keep up with that front group, but I think the only guy here in this section who's going to get the slipstream is going to be David Paxa. You see there that car shooting up to the high side here as we go by turns number 4 and, well, turn number 3. Here we go off of turn number 4. Check out that cool finish line pan cam again. Here we come. Don't think David's going to improve, though. Cross the line we come. Let's check your timing tower. He does improve. He's going to improve up to 6. So that first sector there, you know, getting that slipstream down the backstretch off of turn number 2 really helped propel him there down that second straightaway. And pretty much every driver here who's run a significant number of laps, that being everybody but Jack Hilliard, Trevor Anderson, and Mitch Morrow, all of them are in the 39-second range, except for Marshall Crocker Sr., who's attempting to improve from 10th. Now 1 minute to go here as we come towards the end of qualifying. Whoa, huge run by Dan Skilton. He's got to jump up to the high side just to stop his momentum. Max Preston, too. He's going to drop briefly below the white line, which is a hard restriction tonight, and he's caught in a wreck. He's caught by Christopher Mitchell as he goes around there further back in the field. Mitchell sliding into the onto the apron. Preston doing a full barrel roll flip, like cartwheeling over and over. There we go. That car finally, I was going to say finally coming to rest. There we go. The damage model in these Formula Renault 3.5 cars, the wheels are so incredibly bouncy that if they get misaligned or they get in a wreck, you are flipping around a number of times. And we just saw the fruits of that as we speak. So what a race it has been so far, or what, not a race, but what a qualifying session it's been so far. We got a new qualifying pole sitter provisionally. Can Hayden Paul just find that 8,000th of a second difference that he needs to make up? One final attempt for all these drivers just crossing the line right now as we have 12 seconds left in qualifying. We come around 1 and 2 for the final time. Can anybody run a green first sector? Can anybody get a good slipstream here? Marshall Crocker Sr. might not get a bad one. We're going to go on board with him on his final qualifying attempt. Here we go, going to get a good slipstream off of Hayden Paul. No, he's going to lift though, just sit in the slipstream on him. I think the only beneficial option he had there was to just jump up to his outside, try to keep the run, but might have had a car blocking him up there. Through 3 and 4, you see the setting sun here in California at virtual Auto Club Speedway. It is going to be a night race by the end of the night. The changing track conditions are going to make tonight a little bit more interesting. But across the line, everybody comes as the checkered flag comes out, and no times will improve. So with that, new pole sitter, first time in the Snowstorm Series, Mr. Christopher Mitchell. Congratulations to him. What a fun session that was, and well, what a great drive from Christopher Mitchell there to capitalize on the slipstream, time his moves perfectly, and just like that, he will be starting from the front of the grid. Now's a good time while we have a moment as we finish up in this current session to put up your championship results, your championship standings, if you will, heading into tonight's semi-final of sorts here at Auto Club Speedway. So your top 18 in points heading into tonight, and this is not including the drop race that will be added to the points before next week's race. So your number 1 driver in the points will not be running tonight. You remember, he's having some internet issues, so tonight he'll have to use his drop race. He's made it to every race so far except tonight. That is Mr. Andrew Bedrossian with 386 points, leads the series, just 18 ahead of Nick Nickerson, who also will not run tonight. And also Trevor Anderson, who's only 20 points back, the only driver in that Championship 3 still in contention that will be running tonight at Auto Club. So a great opportunity for Trevor to really pick up some points, really try to build a gap heading into our finale that he himself chose at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. That is Michael Nickel in 4th with 293 points. Remember last week's winner for the second time this season. Then it's David Paxa sitting there in 5th ahead of David Lakey, so a David combo in 5th and 6th. Tanner Dignard and Marshall Crocker. Then Fred Zufelt and tonight's pole sitter Christopher Mitchell round off your top 10. Just going to jump down a little ways in the standings to make sure all of your favorite drivers are covered in case they happen to have made it to only a couple races and are further down the leaderboard. With that, that is the end of your championship results, and that is the end of qualifying, which means it is time to show your results from tonight's qualifying session and your starting grid. We need to clear some graphics off the screen because things are freezing up, as they often seem to at this point in the season. Get this reset for you. There we go. And we should be back. There we go. So, for your starting grid for tonight's race, on the pole for the first time this season. What a performance here by Christopher Mitchell, the Canadian. Puts the number 94 on the pole here. You're going to see him rolling off in just a moment. Alongside him on the front row, your rookie debutant, if you will, Mr. Hayden Paul in the number 83 car. Welcome to the series. Welcome to the Bend Racing League in a few weeks, but for now, he's just got to worry about Auto Club making his debut count. Could become the second driver this season to win in their debut after Nick Nickerson back at Imola. Max Preston rolls off on the inside of row number 2 to the inside of Dan Skilton, qualifying, I believe, the season best 4th, just ahead of David Lakey in 5th, alongside David Paxa in 6th. And all David 3rd row. Then it's Michael Nickel, last week's winner, alongside Tanner Dignard, last week's first-time podium sitter, at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park at Mosport. Then it's Fred Zufelt alongside Marshall Crocker Sr. on row number 5 to round off your top 10. In 11th and 12th, we got Jack Hillier alongside Trevor Anderson. And Mitch Morrow rolls off the final spot of the grid just ahead of Andrew Bedrossian, who will not be classified in tonight's race as he will not be starting due to a hardware malfunction. And that is your order. And just like that, we are pretty much ready to go. We just want to very quickly, before we go green tonight, as we get set and set to get started for tonight's race at Auto Club, just want to very quickly thank our sponsor, as always, of this series. They always give us a shout out there on their social media and always get the word out about tonight's races. So give us a shout if you're coming over for tonight from Canadian Mini Indy, the start of my racing career, and the same for many of these drivers. Local karting in Hamilton, Ontario. Check them out at CanadianMiniIndy.com. Link in the description below. We'll talk more about them later, but we are ready to go here. Waiting for the green flag. Christopher Mitchell's taking the jump. Green flag at Auto Club Speedway for the final oval of the season and the Season 2 of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. We are 3 wide as we go across the line here. Great start for a number of drivers. Working on board there with David Paxa as we head through turn number 1 and 2. Again, we were 3 wide there for a moment. Hayden Paul just did not get the jump he was looking for. Already dropping down into the 5th spot there in that number 83 car. We got a 2-car tandem up front, and they are pulling away. Max Preston peeking to the outside of Christopher Mitchell. Passes tonight are going to be tough. They're going to be technical, but they are absolutely possible. And Max Preston really going to test the limits of that number 8 car early on tonight. They are side by side coming off of turn number 4 to complete the first of 90 laps here tonight at Auto Club. Here comes Hayden Paul in the background. A pretty good slipstream there for the number 83. Making up a little bit of ground there. This is Michael Nickel. There is Hayden Paul on the outside. Following in the slipstream on Max Preston. Here comes Marshall Crocker Sr. to join the party. All the way to the outside line. 3 wide we come through. 4 wide we go through turn number 1 and 2. The width of the track here at Auto Club going to be such a huge talking point tonight. Really tough to make passes there from that really high line. Just the downforce in these cars means that it's really tough to make that top line work any better than the inside line. But if you've got a good enough slipstream, you just need track position to get by somebody. And right now, a guy making up a significant position or a significant portion of track position there from the inside line is David Lakey there, the driver of the number 84. He has been following in behind Christopher Mitchell ever since Max Preston fell out of the draft and moved up to that top line there. He is making it work early on in tonight's race. Back up to the outside goes Max Preston. He's going to consider that outside line once again. Even further out goes Jack Hillier. Jack Hillier in the number 44 car. Remember that new livery he got last week? The Canadian Mini Indy number 44 car. Remember that sweet white, red, and black color scheme. He is all the way up to the high side. Isn't even using the slipstream. So clearly, fuel conservation, not his strategy at the moment. He's just trying to find positions wherever he can and maybe trying to innovate a little bit. Because it looks like right now, as far as the first couple laps of the race go, that bottom line is going to be the fastest. It's going to be dominant, but a wreck. First caution of the race. Big names involved here. Preston flipping. Trevor Anderson was in it. Andrew Bedrossian did get off the line. He did get his issues figured out. So Andrew Bedrossian does find his way into the race on the lead lap. That changes things considerably, especially because championship contender Trevor Anderson has been caught in the first wreck of the race on lap number 3. So we will head to your full send racing replay presented by Canadian Mini Indy. Let's see what went wrong there for Trevor Anderson, as well as a couple other drivers. Here is the replay. Okay, so just in front of the onboard here from Andrew Bedrossian. Andrew caught by Trevor Anderson coming back off of 4 across the start-finish line and manages to keep it relatively on track. So things could have definitely been worse there for your championship leader heading into tonight, Mr. Andrew Bedrossian in the 5 car. But here was the issue. So just Jack Hillier just came down and clipped him. I don't know if he just maybe lost control of the car a little bit coming off of turn number 4. Didn't know where the ideal line was going to be back onto the straightaway, but whatever it was, just kind of chopped down on him there off of 4. Here we go again. So that's Preston up on the high side. Preston doesn't really motion down into him. It's just Hillier dropping down a little bit. Part of it was netcode as well. I don't think there was much, if any, actual contact between those 2 cars, but it was all it took for that contact to be made, and just like that, Trevor Anderson went for quite a ride there and will need to use his first quick repair of the race, though it does look like he was able to drive back to pit road, which is going to save him quite a bit of time and will more than likely keep him on the lead lap. Here we go, coming off of turn number 4. We're going to go to the cockpit perspective of Trevor Anderson. So there you go. You see just nothing he could do. He had no idea he was getting clipped there, and again, the famous spins we see here in the flips and turns we see here in the Formula Renault 3.5 car. We've seen them all season. And Fred Zufelt got trapped upside down for a pretty decent period of time no doubt the reason that he jumped back to pit road. So crazy stuff here early on at Auto Club, but what has remained unchanged since the beginning of the race is that Christopher Mitchell, just as he was on lap number 1, is still your race leader. With that, we're going to take a quick moment here to give you some information about tonight's race at Auto Club Speedway. The Auto Club Speedway was opened in 1997 in lovely California, so we're going to see some higher temperatures here in the sim, or at least you would expect so in the clear conditions. Though the sun is setting, we're getting into the nighttime portion of the event tonight, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays in effect here. In terms of visibility and some other factors, you see the lights on the pace car up top on the top of your screen are already off. But yeah, we're using our custom low downforce setup for this car that we developed for earlier this season at Indianapolis. So slipstreams are going to be absolutely massive. Staying in the draft is going to be the most important thing for these drivers tonight, staying in that front pack and then backing off a little bit when you need to get a run up to go for some passes. That's going to be really the strategy tonight, is just dropping back when you need to get a good run, using that run to make passes, likely on the outside. The driver at the front, as we saw with Christopher Mitchell there in that first stint, pretty much always going to go to the inside to defend. So that is going to be the plan tonight. We are in the late afternoon, heading into the evening hours here in the sim at Auto Club Speedway. Clear conditions here, though, so we're going to keep things as sunny as possible in order to ensure some beautiful views and some hopefully maximum brightness and pretty clear sight lines for the drivers here. It is a 2 mile, as I mentioned, oval in length. Originally, we were going to run 70 laps here, but we switched over from the Indy Pro car to the Formula Renault car mid-season. Thus, we are going to extend the race length to incorporate the quicker cars. So 90 laps tonight, which is going to go for a total of approximately somewhere in the ballpark of 160, 170 miles. 4 turns here, of course, at the Auto Club Speedway. You see the track on the right-hand side, perfectly parallel tonight's 2 mile oval here at Auto Club Speedway. And initially, there were plans in the real world to reprofile this track into a short track, about the size of the logo there you see in the middle of your track map on the right side, but luckily they scrapped those ideas because, well, at least for the time being they have, because this is one of the best long ovals left in the world. It's run for NASCAR and formerly for IndyCar, and it would be a shame to see it get demolished and tear down for yet another short track oval, because there's plenty of those in the world, and I would personally argue we don't need more. So there you go. There's the info about tonight's race at Auto Club Speedway, and next week, the season finale at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are excited to declare a champion in the series next week. The 4th ever champion in a series I've hosted, and the first whose name is not Logan Pax. A green flag here for the first time on a restart here at Auto Club Speedway tonight. Another good jump for your pole sitter, Christopher Mitchell. He takes off quite comfortably there ahead of Hayden Paul, who's going to go to the outside of Michael Nickel, who got a pretty good run there on the inside line, just ahead of Tanner Dignard there on the inside of row number 2, or what is essentially row number 3 right now. David Lakey going to get the inside move done on David Pax. Went all the way up to the high side there. Not particularly sure why, but maybe just trying to get in the slipstream a little bit. Maybe going to focus on fuel conservation early. Not a bad strategy, because even if you don't need the fuel conservation to come into play, if you can't make it to the end of the race on 1 stop less, well, that'll shorten up your pit stop a little bit, and that is never a bad thing. But this pack of cars here in the later portion of this lap are getting dicey, as you can see here. That is Jack Hillier just ahead of Marshall Crocker Sr., Max Preston, and that up on the top side is Dan Skilton in the purple. Here comes Andrew Bedrossian there for a moment, that black and turquoise car up on the top side. Whoa, the 5 car getting real shoved up there by Dan Skilton. Goes right to the wall here off the turn, going to build up a run and likely try to get the slipstream here down the backstretch and make up some progress. But up front, we are side by side for the lead here. Christopher Mitchell still in that dominant inside front position, but to his outside, Hayden Paul doing whatever he can to make up a little bit of ground, put the pressure on from that outside line. Going to go 3 wide momentarily. David Lakey thought about a move all the way around the outside, but thinks better of it, backs off, probably going to slot down into that second line. But up front, Michael Nickel now moves into the catbird seat. Many guys in practice were saying all week that might be the best spot to be in, just that first spot behind the leader there in that front row, sitting in second place. Probably not a bad idea there, as the guy in front, always the possibility they might go up to block that guy in third if they get too good of a run. And then he got some issues. Contact. Hayden Paul and David Lakey coming together. Lakey back into Paul. Spin for the rookie. The 83 car goes around. Yellow flag comes out. Massive contact. Hillier running into the 83 of Hayden Paul. Significant front left damage. And I saw Marshall Crocker Sr. involved in the aftermath. Though little to no damage, it would seem, to the number 15. That was kind of a progressive wreck that just kept on going there. They came off of turn number 2, got a little bit squirrely, made a little bit of contact, and then that kicked off the chaos you just saw. So second caution of the race on only lap number 10 here at Auto Club. It's going to be lap number 11 when we cross the line next. So we're going to go to the Full Send Racing replay presented by Canadian Mini Indy for the second time tonight and see what began that crash. So coming off the corner, David Lakey kind of getting a little bit in the back left quarter panel of Hayden Paul. He bounces off the wall, comes back down, right back into the 83, tries to clear himself twice, and that is what kicks all that off. So yeah, we're going to go from the perspective of David Lakey here, just to make sure I call this the right way. So this is from the roll bar of the number 84 into the 83. That's a little bit loose, unsettles the car, and yeah, that was, I mean, high-speed racing here in these cars with very big hitboxes. We got to go back a little bit further. Here we go. So this is off of turn number, this is turn number 2 we're coming through here. So there you go. You see your race leader, and then Michael Nickel there in second. Tries to go 3 wide momentarily. Hayden Paul kind of hesitates, moves up in front of him. So I'd say that initial contact was mutual. The coming back down to the left, I think, was a little bit, I don't know, a little bit quick, a little bit bold. He bounced off the outside wall, tried to come back down. I don't know if he thought he could clear himself, but didn't really look as he was re-emerging. So Lakey and Paul make contact, and of course Hayden Paul getting the worst of that, as he couldn't, I don't even think he made it back to pit road. You can see the car having a really tough time steering, and yeah, may have just given up on it. So second wreck of the day. A couple more big names involved there. You saw Jack Hillier, who just plowed into the aftermath of that, who hit Hayden Paul as he was spinning. So Hillier gets back to pit road there, and so does Crocker, so does Lakey. Hayden Paul does get back on track, so luckily he should remain on the lead lap, and I believe all 14 cars. No, he does not. He goes a single lap down with that incident. So the lucky dog rule is in effect, as Fred Zufelt should get his lap back here as we go to the, where's the 13 car? There's the 13 car of Fred Zufelt, just heading around the track as we speak. So I believe he should get his lap back, and we'll go back into the 13th spot, however, on the same lap as your leaders. Well, as has been the case for the entire race so far, Christopher Mitchell still your leader here at Auto Club Speedway. We're going to go to a brief side-by-side break for just a moment, and we will be back momentarily here for the 11th round of the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. Join us in a moment as we will be right back after this quick caution. And we're back after a brief caution break here under our second caution of the night at Auto Club Speedway. Lights on the pace car are off, so we are ready to go green here any moment. And what a restart this is going to be. I mean, Christopher Mitchell's got some great jumps here so far, but the question is, can he do it once again? As really the number one priority for these drivers to get to the inside the line on that front row of the track. But ready to go here. Christopher Mitchell not diving down too far below the line, but he is ready to go from the center of the track. Green flag as we see the cars shoot under the line for the first lap of the restart. Up front, pretty good start there for Christopher Mitchell once again, though right on his back bumper is Michael Nickel, though with the need to get the slipstream from a ways back in order to make passes here at Auto Club. That might not be a bad place to start from. So Christopher Mitchell in a pretty good spot early on here in the stint. Tanner Dignard going to slot back into the third spot, but he was momentarily side by side with David Paxa, who's once again going to try to get to the outside line, but to no avail, at least not this lap. But no, he gets a pretty good run there into turn number 3. If he can stay tight, might be able to clear him here off of 4. He's definitely clear, but the question is there a spot to slot in? I believe the answer is going to be no. So we're still side by side. Paxa should lead at the line, but it's going to be close. Right behind them, though, Dan Skilton and Trevor Anderson. The more important of those 2 names there for the championship overall is Trevor Anderson. Again, massive night for him. He's really going to want to take any points he can away from Andrew Bedrossian to try to claw back that advantage Andrew's taken in the last couple rounds back since Trevor was your points leader a few weeks ago. We see the camera from the turn 2 perspective as we see the cars shooting down to turn number 3. Some really cool camera angles here at Auto Club. We were 3 wide there momentarily. Here we come through turn number 3. Now into turn number 4. Up top is David Lakey trying to get something going there on the top. Maybe Trevor Anderson going to go help him. And we haven't seen the slipstream, like the bump draft itself, all week. We didn't see it in the practice races, and with David Lakey and Nick Nickerson kind of being the only guys really to try that back in Indianapolis earlier this season, I don't anticipate we'll see it much tonight. But, well, I've been wrong in the past. I could be wrong again tonight. We'll see if anybody's brave enough to try it. But right now, the control remains in Christopher Mitchell's hands. He has led all the laps in this race so far, all 15. So we are now to the 1/6 moment of our race, and we're starting to get there. Here comes Michael Nickel on the outside line. David Lakey going to slide in behind him momentarily. Actually thinks about the third line, but no, Michael Nickel, no daylight for him, so he's going to tuck back in. And really the key here is if you're Michael Nickel to get by. I know it looks like these guys are just stuck in the draft, but you got to time your run. You got to back the cars behind you up a little bit. Just get a really good slipstream from about 3 or 4 tenths back. Get the run on the outside line. Straighten your run off the corner. Just try to conserve momentum as best you can, and then dive in when you have the moment. It was definitely tough. Beginning of the week, guys in practice just were not confident this package was going to work for the passing, but genuinely, a number of drivers proved there in practice this week that it can be done if you can just time it and get in a rhythm, and Michael Nickel's going to need to start practicing that, unless he's really just worried about fuel conservation and he's content with where he's sitting, which is a possibility. You keep seeing that 44 car up at the top of your screen kind of peeking in and out. That is Jack Hillier, a driver who was very successful last time we ran this package here at a large oval, as we did back in Indianapolis earlier this season. And he's doing pretty well so far tonight. Again, going to slide in behind a couple drivers there up towards that top line. Going to go right to the wall again. So he should be getting pretty good runs here off the corner. But as you can see, every time he does that, guys on the inside are making up ground on him. You see Max Preston there, that blue and yellow entry. Driver of the number 8 sitting just a couple car lengths back of Tanner Dignard. And wow, now he's right behind Tanner Dignard. Driver in the 5th position as we head down to turn number 3. Back out of 4. Should still be the same leader, and it is. Christopher Mitchell has been dominant so far tonight. The 94 car kind of, this is really that breakout race we've seen a number of drivers have. You know, think Mitch Morrow back at Road America. Think Tanner Dignard or Michael Nickel really last week. This is that performance for Christopher Mitchell so far. It has been a dominant day. Somebody going up high. Somebody thinking about a move. That is Jack Hillier. So kind of the only guy brave enough to experiment with that really high line. And it's going to give you a good run off the corners. But again, in the short term, just too many guys going to make up too much ground on the inside for it to be advantageous lap after lap after lap. We are side by side with David Lakey, Trevor Anderson, and Michael Nickel. Trevor Anderson making that top line work for the time being, but Tanner Dignard going to sneak back underneath him on the bottom line. So it's really up to interpretation. You know, if David Lakey's going to want to slide in there if he can. He should be. I would really be trying to slide down if I were him. He's been kind of in and out of that third spot all race. And the only way you can guarantee it at this point in the event is to take that slot there, that third slot on the inside line, because effectively one way to look at it is it's if you want to know the race order, it's the order of cars there on the inside dominant line, and that's really the most safe place to be. As Tanner Dignard's going to slot back in, David Lakey's going to stay in the second row. Clearly David Lakey is in attack mode, so is Trevor Anderson, and so is Jack Hillier again, who's been quite quick all race so far up in that top line. So those are the only guys really trying to advance their position in any meaningful way. But down at the bottom there, these guys are just kind of like stepping into a line and going to stick there for the time being. Remember, Michael Nickel up 5 spots from the start of the race, so this is already a massive improvement for him. He's looking for win number 3 on the season to tie Andrew Bedrossian. He's going to peek to the outside line for the first time. We're 3 wide for the lead, heading down into turn number 1. Thought I saw the back end go around there for a moment for Michael Nickel, but he's able to slot in time in front of Tanner Dignard. Trevor Anderson now being the guy to go all the way to that high line. There are plenty of grooves working to perfection here at Auto Club. Down the backstretch we go one more time. These laps are ticking away pretty quick. Now 20 laps down out of a total of 90. So tonight's race could be quick if we don't get too many cautions. I was anticipating a decent number here tonight, just given how high speed the racing is, how action-packed this event is going to be. Up to the high side again. Here comes Jack Hillier. He's going to try another move. He's been pretty quick so far, and if he can get in the slipstream there on the yellow car of Tanner Dignard on the outside line, might get the momentum to at least clear Trevor Anderson. He's going to go all the way to the high side, up to the wall. He's running the Larson line here from the old days in Cup at Auto Club Speedway right now. So very interesting approach there by Jack Hillier. Hasn't worked quite yet. I don't know if it's going to conserve a ton of fuel, but wouldn't be surprised if the one guy willing to try something different, willing to throw off the status quo, is the one who gets a move done. Because right now, that top three of Mitchell, Nickel, and Lakey have just been dominating here early at Auto Club. Across the line we come once again for the start of lap number 22. Side by side here is Nickel and Lakey. Nickel kind of peeking up every once in a while. That 23 car not too content with it, just sitting on that bottom line, hugging the white line. He's trying to find daylight wherever he can, but so far there just seems to be nothing to work with. He's going to try it again, though. Look at how close he's going to get. Trying to get the side draft off the 94 of Christopher Mitchell as we see the rundown into turn number 3. No luck right now. Here comes Max Preston, might get an opportunity. He's peeking to the inside. He will. Max Preston in the 8 car. Brilliant move, brilliant timing. Is going to take away that second spot. David Lakey going to slot back in behind him. So Michael Nickel took the risk, and it did not pay off, though there's the opening again. He can try to slot back into third, and he will. So David Lakey not content there with third. Might have an opportunity to slot down here. It's such a small window. Might have a chance. No, now he's cleared the side of Christopher Mitchell's car. So no real space to slot down again, and Max Preston's going to fill the void. So I think that was a great strategic move from Max Preston. Just kind of facilitate yourself there in the front portion of the pack, conserve fuel for a little bit. I think it's a great move, and yeah, it's working for him for the time being. As he is comfortably into third at minimum, and he's going to be second if David Lakey's run on the outside kind of falls apart, which it might. Almost 4 wide there for a moment. Michael Nickel peaked up to the top side, but settled in again and came back down, though he does move back to 4th, and if Marshall Crocker Sr. is able to get by him on the inside, which he is not so far, might have dropped down to 5th. We come off of turn number 2, and just, yeah, what a competitive package this is here at Auto Club. Like, there's definitely some mobility potential if you can really time your slipstreams, time your moves correctly. Easier said than done to do, absolutely. It's not an easy form of racing by any means, but it is definitely possible to make some passes work. Here you go. You see 3 wide off of turn number 3 and 4. Gives you a sense in these cameras of just how fast these virtual race cars are here in the Formula Renault 3.5 on iRacing, especially with this minimal downforce oval package. We're running a little bit of contact there, I thought I saw. Trevor Anderson, I think, getting bumped up by one of these cars here mid-pack. That's Jack Hillier, who's kind of sitting in the middle between 2 lines there, currently in the 5th spot as he heads into turn number 1. Again, going back to that high line. He's getting great runs in the middle of the corner, but just nothing to do with it by the time he gets back on the straight. Like, he gets a great run. He might even get up to maybe 3rd here, provisionally on track into the entry, but yeah, just you're way too far up. You can't make a move back down to the inside where everybody really wants to be. So the question is just which of these drivers has the ability, has the oval racing knowledge in order to time their move correctly, get the runoff off the corner, pick the perfect moment to dive down. It really might be an oval experience situation. And if you want to talk about oval experience, very few in the series, if any, have more than David Lakey, the driver from the Bandit Racing League, coming over from the stock car background, a guy who's run at Auto Club a number of times in league competition. Never in this league, though, and of course this car, a very different cookie to crack than many others. Whoa, Michael Nickel! Michael Nickel, a driver who was so great early on, finds himself stuck in the wall, fishtails it into the inside barrier on the backstretch. No caution, as there comes the caution. Caution is out. Look at that car, the 23 stuck in the inside wall. He's trying to nudge his way out. This is frankly absurd. I don't think I've ever seen this on iRacing with the collision getting that stuck inside of an inanimate object, but whatever it was, the question is, can he get back to pit road? I don't think he can. There is the reset. So Michael Nickel becomes yet another casualty there of just a small miscommunication. Again, going to go to the roll bar perspective from the driver of the number 23. Here he comes off. Whoa, he just gets tagged. Just gets absolutely tagged by Jack Hillier there. Nothing he was going to do about that. Yeah, Hillier got into him pretty significantly off of turn number 2. Just dove it off the corner. You got to stay straight in these cars when you get in that situation. And just dove down, made contact with him. And no damage, none at all for Jack Hillier. But unfortunately, for the second time this race, Jack makes a little bit of contact with somebody, and that is going to pretty significantly damage their event. Of course, a quick repair is still in the bank at minimum 1. Every driver gets 2, so Michael Nickel has a chance to get back in it, but had such good track position all of the beginning of that run, and now suddenly all of that gets thrown away. We're going to go one more time from his perspective, and yeah, just it's really a shame to see. You know, last week's winner qualified decently well, but it was all the progress he was making up from 7th to 2nd that was so notable. Just a very slow spin, really, but that weird collision with the wall, that weird physics contact there between the car and the inside barrier, that was what put him out of the event, at least for the time being, until that quick repair wears off. So that will do it for him. Back live we go, and David Lakey becomes your new provisional race leader. Christopher Mitchell down pit road. A tactical move here. Is it a tactical error or a tactical move of brilliance? That is up to interpretation, but right now, Christopher Mitchell, the only driver here on pit road, at least the only driver in a competitive situation besides David Paxa, who now pits from, I believe that was the 7th or 8th position. He was sitting kind of mid-pack here, so off the jack he goes. Christopher Mitchell back onto the racetrack and to exit back in 10th. That's going to make David Lakey your provisional race leader after your 3rd caution of the race. So now 28 laps in here, almost a third of the way done here at Auto Club Speedway. Your leader of almost every lap to this point, 27 of the 28 laps so far. Christopher Mitchell, now as he takes over the lead here at the front of the field after our cautions here, it is going to be David Lakey going to take us to green here, as long as he doesn't pit in the remainder of the caution. When we come back, we're going to briefly go to another quick commercial break. We'll talk a little bit about our sponsor, Canadian Mini Indy, in just a moment. But for now, we're going to go side by side for just a moment. We'll do a quick run through the field so you can see where your favorite driver is on the racetrack. Well, there we go. Lights back off on the pace car. Going to go green this time by. The cautions have been relatively quick here so far at Auto Club, so awesome that we can maximize our actual ability to race here. As sometimes here at these larger ovals, they can be pretty caution-filled and in turn have very little racing action. But yeah, absolutely. Scott in the chat is making some great inferences here. Yeah, Chris is making some great progress. There it was until he pitted there on that last stint, which again, not a tactical error, and in my own estimation, I don't think that'll come back to harm him too much, because now when the next pit cycle comes out, if he can make it to the end of the race, he is well in business, would effectively become the leader of the race on that strategy. But yeah, he's going to have to be careful coming from the back now. It's going to get dangerous here as guys on different strategies and different fuel conditions going to have different pace on the straightaways, and in turn, there might be some carnage that he's going to want to avoid. So the worst place to be is in the middle of the field. So we'll see if he can avoid that. But green flag here at Auto Club for the third restart of the race. David Lakey, for the first time, is going to lead us off to green. Jack Hillier just left the race there a moment ago. He just dove off to the inside, coming off a pit road after fixing his damage, and he has left the server. So that leaves us with 13 cars competing for the win tonight. It was originally 13 tonight, but Andrew Bedrossian had some hardware issues he was able to fix. And here he comes on the outside of the line. Andrew Bedrossian had a pretty quiet night so far, but now he's side by side with his championship rival, Mr. Trevor Anderson. That's a battle to watch in terms of big picture implications, but further up front, Lakey, Preston, Crocker, your top three. Tanner Dignard and Trevor Anderson falling back into 4th and 5th. And Mitch Morrow on the inside, looking for revenge after last week of sorts, after getting tagged by another car there in, well leading at Mossport. What a great drive it was from him until that point, and even afterwards, hoping to get some payback a little bit tonight in that regard, try to pick up some valuable championship points to make up for what should have otherwise been an even better race at Mossport. He's sitting in fifth there, just behind a two-wide battle between Tanner Dignard and Trevor Anderson. Trevor's just been kind of sitting in that middle line the entirety of the last lap. But up front, it is the David Lakey show, comfortably leading tonight's event as the leaders seem to be able to here off these restarts. So going to be interesting here later in the race if we get like a green-white checkered finish, which we'll have 3 attempts at. If we get one, you got to think he's going to be in control, or whoever happens to be leading at that moment, because that line has just seemed so quick there from the inside off the restarts. You dive down, you get in the blocking started, and unless the guy in behind is willing to like back off and really set up a move there from further back in the slipstream, you're just going to immediately slide in second. So Max is going to try it though. Going to peek to the outside here off of turn number 3, I think, or turn number 2. I think it's in the best interest for Crocker there in the 15. Car in row number 1 on the inside. All the way around goes David Paxa. Huge move by the 53 car. Where did that come from? He might clear him. Almost clears Preston. Don't think he will. Dignard's coming back. Tries to clear. Doesn't successfully. Now he's clear. He's got to dive down, though. The opportunity's there. Come on, he's got to go. He's got to go if he wants to go. Here's the chopper camera. The line's there, David. Got to take it. Got to dive down. There we go. The line's there. He's got to dive down and block Preston. He does. There was momentarily a spot open on that bottom line. Doesn't end up taking it. And just like that, Trevor Anderson's going to peek to the top side, but in the span of 1 lap, now your top 3 or that inside the line at the front, completely different. Tanner Dignard's going to peek to the outside there into turn number 3. Might not be a bad run there on David Lakey either. Going to clear him into the braking zone, but, well, the lifting zone, I guess you could call it, if at all. You're pretty much flat out all the way around the racetrack here, but a good run for Tanner. I just think David's going to fight him back. I don't think he's going to be able to clear, and still to this point, we haven't seen somebody be able to crack the code that we saw cracked a number of times this week in practice of how to get to the front from the second position. Trying to figure it out, though. We're 3 wide. David Pax is going to put, maybe put a stop to that a little bit. Going to throw a block there. Marshall Crocker's under. Almost gets tagged by Tanner Dignard, but again, Crocker Sr. there in the 15 car. I don't think it's a bad idea at all for him to just settle in there, chill in this position, wait for the race to come to him, and just save some fuel if he can. But right now, it's the 84 and the 51 side by side. Tanner Dignard again going to try it from the outside line. There's about 3/4 of a car length, not quite a full length between Lakey and Crocker. So if this move's not going to work, definitely wants to settle back in line. It's going to be the most advantageous option for him. So Hayden Paul, though, welcome back. Was at one point a lap down there earlier on after a crash, but thanks to the lucky dog, the 83 is back in the equation as the sun sets here at Auto Club Speedway. That 83 car is looking faster and faster, and again, he's making his debut tonight, so he is going to need to prove something, but he is doing quite well for himself. He's making up a significant amount of progress here since that earlier wreck, meaning he's pretty capable of, making the draft work to the best of its abilities, and that is really going to be the most advantageous skill tonight here at Auto Club. But 35 laps in, going to be 36 this time by. We're still side by side for the lead. Lakey and Dignard might even lead at the line. Yes, he will. Lap goes to Tanner Dignard. So that 51 car, the question becomes as well, is it a sustainable strategy to run the line he's running? Run real close to David Lakey, hope you don't make side-by-side contact, and then just try to run that high side, try to contain more speed, and try to get him at the line there from the outside each time by. Andrew Bedrossian now coming down pit road. The number 5, I don't know if he's serving a penalty or if he is genuinely making a pit stop. I mean, this is getting into the range of, if you're fuel conserving all the way around the racetrack, you might be able to pit now and make it to the end, but it's going to be close. I feel like this is a little bit early for Andrew, especially considering that Michael Nickel, who is 2 laps down, is there in the conversation to get back on the lead lap. If Andrew does go a lap down, potentially get the lucky dog, but he's just exiting pit road now, so should be okay, should be able to stay ahead, but more importantly up front, this side-by-side battle continues for the lead. Tanner Dignard continues to fight on the high side. Remember, coming off a first career podium in the series last week, looking to follow it up this week with a first career win. And what a way to get it. It would be such a competitive race here at Auto Club. I know it's a different skill set. I always say when we go to these bigger, longer oval races than many other tracks we go to, but it truly is about patience. It's about racing experience. It's about racecraft. You really gotta. It's really a game of chess. Thinking big picture, picking your moves, and then when you finally get all those slipstreams to line up, all the cars in front of you move aside in just the way you need them to. That's when you need to have the ability, the car control, to weave through and make passes happen. If Tanner can do that, if he can figure something out from the outside line, could be on track for his first career win as we get towards the halfway point of this race. But no, right now the dominant driver is still the 84 of David Lakey. That does not change. Wreck further back. Trevor Anderson's in it again. Second or third wreck of the race for Trevor Anderson. His championship campaign going up in smoke each time he gets involved in a wreck like this. Crocker Sr., who was in a great spot there, was sitting in the 3rd position on that inside line. He gets caught in it, and that is massive for a driver who was otherwise having such a great day, that being Marshall Crocker in the 15. So Fred Zufelt managing seemingly to keep it out of the wreck in the greater picture, the 13 car. Doesn't look like he got tangled too much, but Marshall Crocker Sr. there on the bottom gets tagged by Hayden Paul. We're going to have to go back to a different camera angle here. We're going to go to the chopper camera just to get some perspective on, you know, where the contact was made and what happened here. So here is the chopper camera. Yeah, Hayden Paul just clips him. Like Crocker was doing everything he had to, didn't move in the slightest. That 15 car was locked to the inside of the white line, just gets tagged. Terrible luck there for the 15 car. And yeah, Hayden Paul, who was earlier caught in a very similar incident, not by his own fault, just another driver drifting down into him. Now the roles have been reversed. So it really is a test of absolute focus, absolute patience, absolute car control. And those are some very tough things to do as a driver. You know, it seems like the toughest tracks in this series would be the road courses, the longer dedicated road courses like a Road America or a Mosport like last week, as we saw such a tricky track. But I genuinely believe it is going to be races like this that really test these drivers and push them to, you know, really learn some valuable skills as far as racing. You know, talent is a massive thing in motorsports. It always has been and always will be. But those learned skills, that experience, that patience to sit in a line, know when to go, know when to back out if you're seeing damage or seeing danger in front of you, that is just as vital. And it's something that is really going to be tested here tonight as we continue on in tonight's race. So Tanner Dignard, Christopher Mitchell, Marshall Crocker Sr., and finally Trevor Anderson heading back down pit road. Remember, Trevor was caught in that wreck a moment ago. He may be out of quick repairs as well. So for a guy who, again, if he wants to have any shot at the title at Gilles Villeneuve, is going to need to maximize his points tonight. Andrew Bedrossian, good question by Scott in the chat. Andrew, that is a good question why he pitted initially. That is why he went a lap down for the time being. He just came down pit road kind of off schedule. Would have thought that he would wait for these guys here who are just pitting now under the caution. But yeah, he should be back in the lead lap here momentarily. Here is the number 5 car just going around after getting his lap back from the Lucky Dog Pass. Remember, the first driver under the lead lap, so it doesn't necessarily need to be a single lap down. Just as long as you're the first driver off the lead lap, you automatically get a lap back under the Lucky Dog Pass on the restarts. There is your leader, Mr. David Lakey, as he has done every lap since Christopher Mitchell's pit stop back on lap number 25. So 15 laps down and, well, 50 more to go. So just about to reach the halfway point here for David Lakey. He's going to have to pit at some point, especially considering he's been up front all race. Drivers such as David Paxa theorize that potentially there is the possibility for a full race on a tank of gas. I don't think it's true. I think you can really minimize your pit stop length. I think you can save quite a bit more fuel running in behind, coasting on the corners, using the slipstream as much as possible rather than just running up front all race. I think there's definitely a way to save a lot of fuel. I just don't buy that a full stint is able to be taken off there. I think that's way too much to try to make up on what should be a flat out to the end green flag tank of gas of about 45, 50 laps. I just think 40 more laps is too much to find. So, I mean, these cautions are going to help. That is the other thing, too, to consider is that, whoa, Andrew, why is Andrew Bedrossian slowing? I think he's wrecked somewhere on track. I don't know if it's hardware or what, but here is the replay. Andrew Bedrossian, there's the number 5 car. He's just chilling in line there behind Christopher Mitchell. Nothing wrong so far, at least nothing for the moment. He just stops. Just stops on track. Just pulls it right over. Something wrong. Gonna get, like, cockpit view. What's going on for Andrew? He's in 6th gear, but like the car's not out of fuel. He just pitted. Tries to pull over to the side. I don't know what happened for him, but cut back. He's up to speed now. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe just pulling over because he had to let a guy by, or I think Trevor Anderson was trying to get around there, but wow, that was a really weird circumstance. So glad we got that figured out. But up front, the lights in the pace car are still on, but should be off this lap. So David Lakey going to have one more lap under the safety car and having some fun there, driving inside it, the old iRacing Classic non-textured pace car that you can drive right through. And it does not matter. To be fair to iRacing, I feel like on the list of priorities for a sim, that is probably not one of the biggest things. So Yeah, interesting point there from Scott. Yeah, I think more than likely anything, it was just yeah, the slow pit in lap. Maybe just caught in traffic there, had to actively back out to get into the bottom line in order to come down pit road. We did tell the drivers before tonight's race to make sure they communicate when they were coming into pit entry and in turn off pit exit if applicable. So yeah, it could have just been a case of him trying to work out the slipstream, work out the timing such that he could get down into pit road. So again, we're just getting to the halfway point tonight at Auto Club Speedway. We're now about an hour into the broadcast or so. So hopefully you guys are enjoying so far. As always, I genuinely, to each and every one of you, really want to thank you guys, as you do every week, for watching this series. I know that it's been a really interesting, really weird season. We've had drivers in and out. Unfortunately, some guys missing tonight. Some notables, including Tim Salvatore. Rich Foligno, I believe, missing the series for the first time all season. So some unfortunate missed drivers here tonight. And of course, Nick Nickerson, championship contender. But the Bandit Racing League coming back in a few weeks. I can't wait to get that season started. That'll be on Wednesday nights for those of you that only come for this series who are less familiar with the other series we do in this channel. But we have some massive turnouts for that. That is not a league I put together. That's a league I'm affiliated with and just do the broadcasting for. And they are going to their 10th season this year. Race leader David Lakey's involved in that series. And, well, if he could do nearly as well in that series as he's done so far tonight, it'll be a pretty good year for the 84 car. But here we go. Green flag once again here at Auto Club for the 11th and second to last round of our season this year in Season 2 and our finale on the ovals. Through turn 1 and 2, pretty good run, I would say, off the start for David Lakey, though he's a little bit far ahead. Could be potential for a pretty good start here for Max Preston off the restart off of turn number 2. Here they come. Everybody kind of single filing out. Christopher Mitchell there further back, I believe, just got the move done on Tanner Dignard for the moment. And now they are 3 wide in that second pack. They're further back, but they are way back. What has happened to this group here? Did somebody just not get going off the restart? Whatever it was. Look at how far that front pack is ahead. Like, they are well out of the slipstream. The second group, I don't know if they're just intentionally trying to stay out of wrecks, if this is a kind of mutual pack towards the end just to stay out of trouble. But whatever it is, I don't think it's super beneficial for the time being. It's a David versus David battle. The 53 and the 84 side by side. The two guys that are, I believe, 5th and 6th in the championship. They've been battling back and forth for the points all season, and now they get a chance to settle it on track. Coming to the halfway point of the race, 45 laps down next time by. So we're getting through it tonight here at Auto Club, and David Lakey on the inside the line continuing to lead. David Paxa, who is one of few drivers who made it out to practice this week, who is consistently getting passes to work as Max Preston gets the pass done, however, from the much easier inside the line. Same with Fred Zufeld. So David Paxa and Mitch Morrow going right up to the top line. Got to wonder if they think they know something that the others don't. But Max Preston here peeking to the outside momentarily on Fred Zufeld. That is David Lakey. Going to think better of it, though, back in line. Whoa, that was Tanner Dignard there. We just briefly jumped back to the camera view. That was Tanner Dignard on the inside line, who luckily was below the pit exit line, so no incident between those drivers. Off the turn, though, comes Max Preston. Again, a pretty decent run, but you got to fully clear the car on the inside before you get down to the next turn. I promise it's possible, ladies and gentlemen. We're seeing guys having a tough time doing it tonight, but really, genuinely, it is possible. Whoa, David Paxa. Big move there from the number 53 car. Down to the bottom goes Mitch Morrow. We're going to go 3 wide here off the exit at Auto Club. Mitch Morrow up into the 3rd spot, just behind Fred Zufeld, who now moves into 2nd. So positions switching around as we go onwards through turn number 1 and 2. Once again, that top line jumping back up there again. That's David Paxa and Max Preston again, trying to be innovative, trying to find some new angle to approach this from. And they have so far. Up on the top side, Tanner Dignard following in behind David Paxa now, as Max Preston back in behind Mitch Morrow, who's going to take over the 3rd spot. And that front 2 tandem is pulling away. This is the most gap that David Lakey's had all race. But that is not a good thing, I promise you. It's good in the sense that he's got the line down and he's making up a little bit of ground, but the worst thing you want as the leader is the guy in behind to be about 4/10, 5/10 back and just build up a run at you. Just shoot the car straight down the straightaway, clear you around the outside with such a strong slipstream. And suddenly you find yourself losing the lead. And there's very little you can do. If a driver behind you sets up the perfect pass, it's pretty much automatic. So not a bad thing by any means, but we're going to go on board here with Fred Zufeld just to illustrate how strong the draft actually is, or even better with David Paxa, who goes all the way around the outside. Just what I was talking about there. Gets around Fred Zufeld. The slipstream's still going. Look at the speed on the 84 car, or the 53, I should say. Dives up a little bit early, going to run out of momentum a little bit as we cross the line, but what a run he got there as we cross the start-finish line. The cars are speeding up. The paces are feeling quicker. He's got it clear. Don't think he'll be able to. So David Lakey again, as he's done every lap since the lap 25 caution, going to remain your race leader. 3 wide we are into turn number 2. There goes up top Mitch Morrow. Down at the bottom, Fred Zufeld. He's going to jump back into second after that great move David Paxton made on him to get second the previous lap. Mitch Morrow's going to jump up in front of him. Might go all the way down. He does. Mitch Morrow got a great run off the corner that time by, and as a result, he can now settle into second. Here comes Max Preston out of nowhere. He set up a good run there off of turn number 2. Back onto the front stretch he goes. There's just kind of a wall of cars in front of him. Not really any daylight there in front of the 6 car. So the last car in this kind of front pack appears to be Michael Nickel, who is a lap down. So the lap car effectively on the lead lap becomes Dan Skilton, who arguably, if anybody, might be in the most favorable position because that 6 car is in the front pack. He's still within the slipstream range, but he's out of the way of any potential wreck. You know, if everybody up front were to wreck in front of him, I feel like he has enough reaction time to get out of the way of it. But simultaneously, he is still in that front pack. So whenever he really wants to get the pedal down and commit to moving forward, he should be able to do so. Your final driver of the race that is not left, that is Jack Heuer, the only driver with a DNF so far. That is Hayden Paul just exiting pit road there. Took another pit stop for either fuel, for damage, for some discernible reason. 6 cautions he would need there to get back in the lead lap with the Lucky Dog. So unfortunately, what was looking like a great debut early on, qualified second. Unfortunately for Hayden Paul, it has since kind of fallen apart a little bit. But a great effort early on. Proved that he knew the slipstream. Proved that he'll be a valuable driver to the series if he continues with us in the future. So great to see him making his debut tonight. And we're always more than happy to have some debutees in the series, if you want to call it that. But through turn number 3 and 4, David Paxton and Mitch Morrow, 2 guys that communicate plenty in the weekly practices, 2 guys that frequently drive together. So got to wonder if they're trying to coordinate something live on track to find any way past David Lakey in the 84 car, who's just had a stranglehold on this race since earlier on. Again, through turn number 1 and 2, that second pack of Trevor Anderson, Christopher Mitchell, and Marshall Crocker Sr. just nowhere to be found. You see them in the aftermath of that pack. They're trying to find a way back up, but unless they can really commit to like a leapfrog strategy where one car gets the slipstream, goes around, gets in front, the other car gets in their slipstream, goes around, gets in front. It takes a lot of coordination. It's really tough to do, and unless they can do that like 2-second gap they are back to Dan Skilton at the end of this line, it's going to stay that way. Going to put up on the top right your track map here for just a couple laps here at Auto Club. Not too interesting, but just to illustrate the different lines. David Paxton, that was a great run. I thought he was going to stop. I thought the momentum was going to come to an end, but he just kept building on it. He's trying to find a way by. That was probably his best attempt of the race so far. David Lakey almost got cleared by David Paxton. That would have meant a change in the race lead for the 3rd time this race, but no, for the time being, it will remain David Lakey's race, and just everybody behind him trying anything. I think at this point, it's almost not going to become about any position other than first. I think these guys really just want to be that one guy who cracks the code, who finds a way past the 84 car. And it's going to take some coordination. I genuinely think you're going to need a guy to set up on that second line, get a slipstream off him, pick off his slipstreams one by one, go back from like 5th all the way up to 1st. I think that's the only way you do it. That's where I was having the most success this week in practice, finding ways to get by the race leader on the inside line. But what I will give credit to David Lakey for, as much as it is, okay, you could argue you just got to sit on the front row, sit on the inside white line. He is doing an incredible job. He's not washing up in the corners. He's not catching the little, divots there in the apron that you could potentially unsettle the car. He has just been locked in there. He's gotten in a rhythm, and he has not given up any daylight to Max Preston, who now moves up into that 2nd spot. Max has been kind of hovering in and out of the top 3 all day, and he is back in there right on the back of the number 84 of David Lakey. The sun has now completely gone down here at Auto Club. It is a night race for the rest of the 35 laps in tonight's event. The top 5 here, David Lakey, now Mitch Morrow up to the top side on Max Preston. There you see on Max Preston's perspective is the 66 of Morrow, who moves back into the 2nd spot, powerfully slotting in line in front of Mr. Max Preston. Here goes, that is David Paxton sitting there in the 4th spot. There's Fred Zufeld in 5th. Back in 6th and 7th. We're seeing a pit stop here from Dan Skilton, the final driver in that front pack. So this is his final pit stop for the race, but he's going to fall out of line. He's not going to have any drafting partners when he comes back out, unless he fully gets lapped, in which case he can try to catch back up to the lead pack. But that means we now only have 5 drivers here in that front group, as you'll see if we go back to your track map here momentarily. And again, it remains the who can get past David Lakey show. So far, the answer being nobody. But that second pack actually is making up ground to the race lead. They're not really making up ground to the pack as a whole, especially not with Dan Skilton pitting that last time by. But the tandem of Anderson, Crocker, and Mitchell, they're still in the equation. They're still only a couple seconds back. And again, if we get a wreck up front, which is by no means out of the equation, they are definitely in the line to potentially capitalize on a wreck. But here we go, 3 wide. Morrow thinks he's got a run. He thinks he's got some momentum. He might not be wrong. Did Mitch Morrow just crack the code? He's going to be close. Got to squeeze off the corner. Here comes Preston, going to try to come with him. He got so close, but I think David Lakey should slot back into the line fine. What an attempt. What a run from Mitch Morrow. We're 3 wide. 3 wide for 3 rows. Or 3 wide for almost, well, no, 2 rows. Through 3 and 4. Preston's going to back out. I think Morrow's going to back out as well. Is Fred Zufelt going to take a try here in the 4 spot there? No, up in front of him goes Mitch Morrow. So crazy race here at Auto Club. We're 4 wide across the line. Michael Nickel there on that far outside the line in the 23 car. He's in 12th. He's a couple laps down, but he's staying with this group. He's fighting from the top line, maybe trying to get one of his laps back for free, get back in potentially contention to get a lucky dog pass later if we get enough cautions. He's 2 laps down, and then there's Tanner Dignard in front of him, but always the possibility that we get 3 cautions. I would not rule it out whatsoever. So very well could see him factor into the equation here as this battle goes on for the lead. But still, your race leader remains as he has since lap 25. Now has led the most laps of anybody in this race with 32. David Lakey continuing to chug away up front. That'll be lap number 34, led by Lakey. But here comes Mitch Morrow again, going to try to crack the code once again. Making up some good momentum, but again, as you can see, he just can't clear that 66 car around the outside of the line. And until he can get down, eventually that inside momentum will always go the way of David Lakey. And it'll be all he needs to hold his position. Mitch, whoa, that's Michael Nickel in the background doing some weaving there. He's actually got a pretty good angle of this battle up front, so we're going to go on board with him for just a moment. But genuinely been amazed by what we've seen so far from David Lakey and the ability of him to hold the lead, because I thought passing was going to be tough. I knew it was going to be, but seemingly guys just have been unable so far to really crack that code of when you got to get that slipstream started, when you have to start going for that run. And yeah, it seemed like he's got the class in the field so far, and until he doesn't, it is going to be the David Lakey show. Trevor Anderson is catching this pack, and I think if he can make up some ground to Tanner Dignard, which is so close to happening, that second pack could be back in the equation. He's a second and a half back of Preston. And then there's Tanner Dignard in between them, so that's realistically about 1.7, 1.8 seconds maybe. Or no, less than that, probably just over a second. So if Anderson can get that slipstream to Dignard, not only does he get back into that front pack, which is huge, and potentially that momentum could carry him all the way up to the race lead. Quote me if that happens. But that is huge for him. Every position Trevor gets now is 1 spot ahead of Andrew Bedrossian, and is 1 more point he carries into the finale next week at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So if Trevor Anderson wants to come from, well, what has been a spot of consistency all year for him, it's not like he's a consistent race winner. Like you could argue maybe Andrew Bedrossian is slightly more so. Though granted, Trevor's got 2 wins on the season. He has not been a slouch by any means. But he's been so consistent at picking up points all year, makes the smart decisions. He's arguably the most experienced, most poised driver in the entire series, and he's proving that this race is he's fought his way back. He never gave up. He's clawed his way forward. That gap that was 2.5 seconds a moment ago is now down to 1.6. Trevor Anderson is fighting back. Up front, though, again, David Lakey continues to lead from Paxa and Preston. Fred Zufeld still in fourth as he's been for a while, and there's Dan Skilton you see coming back into the fray. And that purple number 6 car once again side by side again up front, but oh, Paxton might have him. Almost. I swear there was a split second there where it opened up where David could have potentially slotted back in, and it's really going to take a bold move like that. I promise you, the margins aren't going to be obvious to the naked eye, but once you've practiced all week, once you know the exact moment that a car is just ahead, you got to take your opportunity. And I think as we get later into this race, like in the last, where are we now? We're only 27 laps away. I think when we get within 10 laps in the finish, guys are going to get to the point where maybe they don't even make that check. Maybe they're like, I feel like I'm clear. I feel like I've made up the momentum. I'm just going to send it. And when we get to that point, I'm worried we're going to see some wrecks. But I also think that's the only way for these guys to get back front. There he is. Trevor Anderson's back, folks. And he has brought Christopher Mitchell and Marshall Crocker Sr. with him. What a drive from Trevor Anderson. Way to make your way back up there. I always give props to these guys who fall out of the front draft, have to work up in a tandem and make their way back. And he did exactly that, teaming up with Christopher Mitchell and Marshall Crocker Sr. And just like that, all three of those guys, well, at least a moment ago, we're back up in the top 5. Now Crocker falling back to 7th, but he's currently in 4th, and that always vital inside the line. I'm going to go to the cockpit view on Marshall Crocker Sr.'s number 15 car. Settled in quite nicely behind Christopher Mitchell, who's made his way up here with, and Trevor Anderson is now falling out to that outside the line. So as long as nobody can fit in this gap he's got there on the inside, Marshall Crocker Sr. could be sitting 4th provisionally in a comfortable spot, maybe even find his way up into the podium. And remember, Marshall Crocker Sr. in series history, he's been with us for 4 seasons, no career podium, so he's come very close a number of times. I never want to jinx my dad, but definitely a guy that I think tonight, if he can just capitalize on where he is, avoid wrecks, make it a race of attrition to the end, he could absolutely come away with the first career podium. And again, what a job to get back into that slipstream, work together with Christopher and Trevor, and find a way back into this lead pack after being so far back there in that second groove. But still, Lakey leads up front. That 84 car has a stranglehold on the field, and again, he now has for 40 laps. I wish we had a laps lead counter. I don't believe I do, at least not one that I could show on the broadcast, but let's check there on the side. Any chance we can get a graphic for that? No, unfortunately not, but what we can do is the last pit lap for all these drivers. That is another potential storyline that we need to talk about. So there you see the L and then the number of laps, or the lap that they last pitted on up on the top left. This could be a storyline too, because Christopher Mitchell and Trevor Anderson, they both pitted back on lap number 39. That's why they were so far back to begin with on that last restart that they had to recover from. Same with Marshall Crocker Sr. Everybody else pitted on lap 4 for both Preston and Morrow, or lap 10 for Lakey, lap 3 for Fred Zufeld. I think that these guys are going to struggle to get to the end on fuel. I can't confirm this. I wish I had fuel info for each of these drivers, but if I had to project, I think they are going to need to come back for a pit stop. And if this goes green at the end with 23 more laps, they are going to have to do it sooner rather than later. And it's absolutely gut-wrenching if you're a guy like David Lakey, who's done the perfect job up front so far all race, or Fred Zufeld, who's been so consistent in that second spot. But if you got to make another pit stop, you are essentially out of contention. So the battle for the lead would then become between Trevor Anderson, Christopher Mitchell, and Marshall Crocker Sr., the 3 guys who pitted later, as a result went back to the end of the field and had to fight their way back as a result. So the guys who have really been hustling, having to work their way back through, might get paid off and benefited the most if this goes green to the end, which again, I don't think it will. But if it does, they are definitely going to be in a favorable position strategically towards the end. I hope you guys are enjoying this race tonight. It seems to be one of the, maybe if not the most strategic race we've seen all season. And what a time to have it. Right here at the end of the year in our oval finale here this season for the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series Season 2. Our finale next week at Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve. Do not miss that. That is going to be such a fun finale. A 3-headed battle for the championship. Going to be such a huge storyline. Going to make sure Nick Nickerson's able to make it out to that, because he will absolutely factor into that race. Won the first race of the season. Maybe he can potentially win the last. But across the line here for the start of lap number, I believe it is lap number 69. So 21 laps to go to the finish here. And it is Anderson and Lakey continuing to lead up front from Fred Zufeld, Christopher Mitchell, and Mitch Morrow just behind him side by side. Whoa, Fred got a little bit squirrely there coming off of turn number 2, but settled it down, stays in behind. Now Tanner Dignard forming up in this pack. He's a lap down there, but is remaining in 11th, and for the time being is going to do whatever he can to stay in this pack. And again, as many drivers are trying to do maybe get their lap back for free on track and don't need to worry about the lucky dog. That is David Paxton we're keeping an eye on there towards the back. He was swiggling and swerving around there, trying to get something going there on that top side. But as we've seen many times tonight, that third groove, so there's that inside the line right against the white line, that second line in the middle of the track, and then that crazy high line that David Paxton's running. It's just, it's a great way to build up a slipstream, and I think that's what he's trying to do. But on one zone, it is so painfully slow. Like you lose a full 4 tenths, 5 tenths going the really high way around the corner. I think he's trying to do what I did this week in practice, which was so effective, and that's go all the way to the back of the pack and just try to set it up one after one after one. Just get the slipstream on one car, make the pass. Get back in the slipstream on another car in the same straightaway, make the pass. Just one after another and build up such a massive run that you've been in the slipstream for maybe 15 seconds by the time you get past the leader. And then the pass is possible. Then you can easily clear the leader. So again, I know it doesn't look like it. It's so contrary to everything you think you know about oval racing, but this might be the most favorable spot on track to get the pass done right now. And at this point in the race, if I ever say the pass, I'm simply referring to the move on David Lakey to take the lead at this point. You know, we've seen many try, many fail from that second spot, many guys from even the 5th spot, but we've seen nobody make it work from any further back than that. I think that's where it's going to have to come from. So David Lakey, he's in effectively the catbird seat there. He's just waiting on the outside. We are 3 wide down to turn number 1. Mitch Morrow throwing up a late move to the outside. He's going to slap back into row number 2. And Max Preston going to try to run the outside line. Got a good jump into 1. Isn't going to clear Morrow. Isn't going to clear Skilton. In fact, if Skilton comes back into that position, which he will, he's going to fall back another spot. So Marshall Crocker Sr., who, remember, just a moment ago was up there as far as the third spot, I think even momentarily second, has since fallen back into 6th in the 4th spot there on that inside line. So, again, still in contention. He's in the ballpark, but I just think the only way you're getting any further up the order is if you start experimenting with that outside line at this point. So, if he wants to settle in, make sure he can make it to the end on fuel, which, again, he was one of the later pit stoppers. He's 35 laps better to the good on fuel than pretty much anybody in this pack. If that is indeed the case, then I think he's okay. But, yeah, I'd genuinely be surprised, even on a full tank of fuel, even if the fuel tanks don't start on full in these cars in this setup, but even if you filled the tank there on that early pit stop, I just don't think there's 90 laps worth of fuel in this car. So we will see if I'm wrong. Maybe I am. But, yeah, David Lakey, if he can get to the end, I mean, 17 more laps. Guys are going to get more aggressive. There's always the potential for a wreck, but this has just been a dominant drive up front by the 84 of David Lakey, looking for his first not only podium in the series, but first ever win. Well, another lap and another lap led by Trevor Anderson, or by David Lakey. But Trevor Anderson is on that top line, and he is starting to get close enough on that outside the line there. He's starting to figure it out that maybe he can lead some laps there from that higher groove there. If, again, as we saw earlier, I think it was Mitch Morrow was making it work pretty well. If you get enough of a run off of turn number 4, there's the potential to win that drag race to the line from the outside lane. You just got to really squeeze here in the corners. That's David Lakey. We're keeping an eye on there from the lead. The question is, what can he do? How much can he push up wide? Try to minimize the run off the corner for Trevor Anderson. Now, Mitch Morrow again going to peek to the outside the line, back in. Doesn't last very long, but did take a gander, if you will, at the outside third line. But again, side by side, lap after lap at this point. Max Preston again peeking to the top line. It's just a matter of when. I think somebody will crack the code there on David Lakey. It's just a question of who will it be. And right now it's nobody, but there are plenty of contenders here. Remember, what is that? This is David Paxa in 8th right now. So look at how close he is to your race leader. And just think about how many guys could still win this. And Andrew Bedrossian, who we haven't barely talked about at all. He's currently just kind of in a draft tandem with Hayden Paul there, who is 3 laps down. So both guys relatively out of the race. Andrew, remember that earlier pit stop. That threw him behind the 8 ball, and he has just never recovered. But again, a caution, and suddenly he's back up in that front groove, and he can try to minimize the points lost to currently second place Trevor Anderson. That would be huge for his championship. And again, I would not be surprised at all if we see a caution. But yeah, Andrew's just not really going anywhere at the moment, and he can't, because even if that draft tandem gets hooked up like Trevor and those other guys earlier, that took, what, 10, 15 laps to make enough progress to get back to the front? Unless he gets a caution, I think Andrew is out of contention here. But back up to the front, it continues. It continues. Guys still experimenting, trying to find a way by. How many laps do we have left to go? Only 13. Just over 10 laps. Whoa, Fred Zufeld got a little bit squirrely there. I don't know if there was contact from Christopher Mitchell. Maybe guys are finally trying to get the bump drafting going. We saw plenty of that at Indianapolis, and this is the same setup, but Indianapolis was a perfectly straight oval, and this is straight on the backstretch, but it is also a tri-oval, so that inside turn 4 into turn 1 straightaway is, of course, banked. So you don't really get that same luxury there as you did back in Indianapolis with those long straight straightaways you can make bump drafts happen with. It's a good run from Trevor, but again, not enough to get that move done. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, if and when we see a pass there for the lead, if we do, that you guys are really gonna go for it, because I promise you, it is probably the toughest pass anybody will have to make this season, to have the right set of circumstances and the perfect timing in order to get that move done. But Trevor's getting close, and what a win it would be if Trevor Anderson, either from that top side across the line in the drag race with David Lakey, if it comes down to that, or finding a way by. Regardless, what a huge win it would be for Trevor Anderson, whose photo seems to never line up in that box properly. I don't know why. I swear he has a proper headshot that shows his face, but it just never seems to fit in that box. He is close. He's darn close. Again, no. But he's so quick from that outside line. And again, the fight back to the front he had to make from all the way back there after that previous caution, that pit stop he made. What a drive it's been for him. Going to watch at the line again. We're going to go to our finish pan camera. Lakey led in the line, but again, that was a photo finish. If we get a finish like that to the line, what a way to end the race it would be. We're coming to 10 laps to go now. 10 laps officially next time by. Running out of laps here. Remember, 42nd laps at Auto Club Speedway. 10 laps under that number of laps would be 6 minutes to the finish here, and 6 minutes is not a long time. So if everybody can make it to the end on fuel, which I guess I suspect they can at this point if nobody's pitted yet, it is going to be a task to the finish. It is going to be darn entertaining to see if Trevor Anderson has anything left up his bag of tricks, or if he's just content where he is. You know, Andrew Bedrossian, championship rival all the way back in 9th. Is Trevor content to just settle in there in second, go for second place, and just try the run at the line strategy? Because anything more aggressive than that, he could get wrecked, and suddenly what could become a very good points day heading into Circuit Gilles Villeneuve could become what takes him out of the championship picture entirely. Now 9 laps to go as we come off of turn number 2. There is again Trevor Anderson trying it again, and again no dice. David Lakey far up enough to prevent that run. Let's look elsewhere here as we come to now 8 laps to go this time by. Let's just look around this top 5 pack to keep an eye on guys who could have very good points days if they finish where they are, or could capitalize on a move from further back in the pack. There's Fred Zufeld there in 3rd, looking for his first career podium in the series. There's Mitch Morrow again, looking for, I think it would be his 3rd in series history, after getting one earlier this season at both Road America, and I believe he got one at Homestead Road Course. So it's been a really great year for Mitch Morrow. Could be the 3rd podium of the year for him. Christopher Mitchell there, who led the entirety of the first portion of this race, pitted later than everybody else, and has since just found his way back, slotted into the top 5. It would be a great performance for him, especially from the pole. He's sitting in the top 5. He can make some noise. David Paxton there up to the top line. Remember, he's got one career podium in the series. The last time there were these Formula Renault cars at an oval that was this long back in Indianapolis, he took away a last-minute 3rd there in pretty crazy fashion, if you remember that broadcast. Max Preston there down the middle. He's had a great season so far. Again, somehow no wins to this point in the year. They'll try to change that at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but can he get the move set up? Can he get the right set of parameters here in these last couple laps to finally get that move done for the lead? But and then finally, Marshall Crocker Sr. there in the 15 car there on that inside line is your final driver on the lead lap in this pack. And well, after initially going back up to 3rd there when that line of himself, Anderson, and Mitchell got back to the front, he has since fallen back into this spot and just maybe waiting for a wreck, maybe just trying to sit in the catbird seat. Even then, I think he's a little bit too close to be able to avoid the wreck if and when it happens. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's a case of when, not if, but we're running out of laps here, to be fair. We are really getting to the end here. Lap number 84 when we cross the line this time. That's 7 laps to the finish. Time is running out, and once again, Trevor Anderson trying it from the top side, trying unsuccessfully. And again, I think the only way we'll get a full-fledged, comfortable pass for the lead is if these guys start to back off. If guys are willing to sacrifice a couple small positions to go for broke there, to build up the run from further back, to just charge at David Lakey. I think that's the only way you're going to make a move stick here. And again, for the actual pass for the lead, the guy's in the best spot. Right now, it might be Mitch Morrow, maybe Max Preston even. Actually, Dan Skilton, if he were in the battle for the lead and he weren't a lap down, he may be in a pretty good favorable spot to go all the way around the outside for the lead. But whatever it's going to be, it is 6 laps to go. We are still side by side. David Pax is going to send it 3 wide. Zufelt, Morrow, and Paxa. They are the 3 wide tandem we got going there. Remember, we have gone, well, our last pit stop was on, or our last caution was lap number, I think, 39. We've gone like 45 laps under green. What a stint it's been. I never would have predicted this late in the race we'd have this few cautions. And again, I don't want to jinx it, but David Lakey, unless Trevor Anderson's willing to get a little bit more rowdy here, this is going to be the run to the line here on the very last lap. Fred Zufelt keeps peeking out there, but no daylight once again. Close at the line, but it remains Lakey as we come to, I believe, 5 laps to go. 5 more laps here at Auto Club Speedway. 10 more miles to determine a winner of the second to last round of the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. There was Michael Nickel on the bottom line. Great race early for him, but he has fallen back to 12th as a result of an incident. Will not be the way he wanted to end tonight in his bid to potentially get up into the top 3 in points at the end of next week's race. But here we go. Again, Trevor Anderson, a good run. Maybe Fred Zufelt going to do something with it this time. Mitch Morrow getting a pretty decent run up on the line. Here we go, 4 to go. 4 laps this time by. Going to watch them all the way across the tri-oval here. Anderson actually got him that time, so Trevor has figured it out. He's got the line working from that top line. I'm curious if David's going to move up to block here. If he's going to try to pressure him up off the exit of turn 4 that last time by, try to limit his runoff. Because if David knows that that is potentially an issue, that Trevor could get such a run there that he does beat him from the outside lane, he's going to want to counter-react towards that. Although if he does move up a lane, if he does try to go block, that might give the opening to Fred Zufelt. I promise the run of the line I think is going to be really interesting, and it's just going to be a question of how well can Trevor set it up. And whoa, no, he's got around. Caution, right as I say it. Again, the jinx, that is massive. Caution is out, the wreck of all wrecks. Trevor Anderson flipping, pirouetting around. The old commentary jinx, as usual. Can't even find Trevor Anderson. There he is, Trevor Anderson. That is huge for his championship. Absolutely massive, missing a nose, missing a rear wing. Basically, any essential piece of a Formula Renault race car is not on that number 25 as we speak. Full Send Racing Replay presented by CanadianMiniIndy.com. What just happened for Trevor Anderson? So back we go. Here is the run through 3 and 4. I don't know why it's going so fast. Here we go. So through turns number 3 and 4. Fred Zufelt just washed up into him. He caught Anderson. He caught David Paxa. Let's go back again. We've got to get a better replay on that. Going to go from the perspective of Fred Zufelt here. So into turn number 3, there's Fred on the inside line. There's Trevor up hot. He just lost control of the race car for a moment. They're just at such a high speed. That is how small of a mistake it can potentially have massive consequences. He just didn't keep it quite on the bottom lane. He washed up the tiniest bit into Trevor. We go back live, and that's the important question. Is Trevor, is he in good condition? He's in his pit box. No more quick repairs. That might be championship done for Trevor. And do you know who this benefits most is Andrew Bedrossian there. The championship contender, guy who was out of it. Remember, he was in 10th on his own, 25 seconds back. He was nowhere to be seen. Now he's back up in the fight for the lead. And more importantly, he's ahead of his championship rival, Trevor Anderson. Oh, he does have a quick repair. Okay, so... okay, maybe a chance here for Trevor. I mean, he's going to restart in 10th, but he's on the lead lap as far as I'm aware. No, he's a single lap down. A single lap down for Trevor Anderson. Dan Skilton is on the lead lap. I believe that was the case before. The Lucky Dog shouldn't get assigned yet. Is Tanner Dignard getting... Tanner Dignard's going to get it. So, green-white checkered attempt here, or at least it should be. I think it's over for Trevor. He's going to go a single lap down, just barely too late coming out of the pits to get that lap back. That could be championship hopes dashed for Trevor Anderson in the tiniest mistake by another driver. Not even by himself. Just absolutely heartbreaking for, again, a guy who's had such an incredible year so far. And again, it's not over for him. He's not mathematically out of it whatsoever, but if that gap gets bigger into Gilles Villeneuve, all Andrew Bedrossian, who will lead the points, needs to do is not make a mistake next week, not get in a wreck, really just has to go for 5th. And Nick Nickerson, who didn't even make it tonight, he's got a drop race, so he's not going to lose all his points tonight, but that's going to hurt him. And I'm heartbroken for Trevor because, again, none of that was his own doing. That was just a mistake from another driver that cost him. And, man, we'll see what happens here. We'll see. Tanner's going to get the lucky dog. If we get a green-white checkered, the laps are not being extended here. This race may be over. It may be over at the end of the next lap. Have we got the white flag? The white flag is coming. There is not going to be a green-white checkered. What has happened? In what may just be an absolute gaffe on the part of, well, that's me who sets up the races. There should be 3 green-white checkered attempts. It looks like there won't be. This race, if we don't get a green-white checkered, is going to end under yellow, and it's going to go to David Lakey. And if that is the case, that is absolutely heartbreaking. That is completely on my shoulders. But we should have a race to the finish. But again, if we don't get one, it's David Lakey's race to win. That is horrible if that is the case. Not for David Lakey, not that he would get his first career win, but it just shouldn't end like that. I mean, guys in the top 3 are going to be ecstatic. Christopher Mitchell would get his first career podium. David Lakey would get his first career win again, but that is it. There's not going to be a green-white checkered. That is going to be your race. That is heartbreaking. Coming to the line. Again, there is not going to be a green-white checkered. There should be. And apparently there is not. That is your race, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to the line. Your winner for the first time in his career in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. It is David Lakey who will get the win, leading since lap number 25. That is it. Your race winner at Auto Club, there he is, David Lakey. Wow. What do you even say about that? Race over. We have a race winner, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. That is insane. We have a new race winner. Absolutely credit to him. Just an incredibly dominant drive from the front of the field, but that is it. Wow. There go the fireworks off for him. David Lakey's going to celebrate. I don't know if he's going to get some props from the other drivers around him, but well, they're going to drive it out just for fun, I guess. But man, that is heartbreaking considering I was hoping we'd get a proper run to the finish. I was hoping we'd get a proper ending, but well, congratulations nonetheless. They're just going to do another lap for fun. They're going to go around just for the fun of it. Actually, Christopher Mitchell, I believe, in this little mini finish they're going to do just for fun. He's going to win there at the line. But your top 3, congratulations then to David Lakey. First career win in the series. Again, I wish it had come under green-white checkered conditions, but no, instead he's just going to get it for free. Well, not for free, but congratulations to all 3 of them. David Lakey, your race winner. Mitch Morrow there in second at the line. He's going to get his 3rd podium of the season. A great result here for him following up last week's unfortunate finish at Mosport. What would have been a well-deserved win, unfortunately wasn't in the end for him, but congrats again to Christopher Mitchell as well. First career podium in the series. He's come close many a times. He led the early portion of this race. Seems only fitting that he gets the credit for it there at the end, but again, I'm heartbroken for every driver in this race who was unfortunately unable to go for the finish there properly under green-white checkered conditions, but even more so for Trevor Anderson, who again, as a result of that wreck, I believe will effectively be out of reasonable championship contention, unless, of course, Andrew Bedrossian has a wreck at the line, or has a wreck in some capacity next week that ends his race. But again, there is the celebration from your race winner tonight at Auto Club, his first in series history, Mr. David Lakey. Remember how great he was back in Indianapolis? It does seem only fitting that after a dominant race tonight defensively, he comes away with the victory there at the end. And yeah, even if we got a restart, to be fair, 2 laps to go, the way he was running, honestly, I think really the most foreseeable outcome would have been that he got wrecked by somebody else, and that just isn't the way we want any race to end. So seems fitting, absolutely very well deserved for David, and I can't wait to talk to him in just a moment's time. He's going to park it on the inside logo there of the racetrack, and actually, no, they might form up there, the top 3 on the start-finish line there, but they're all ready for their interviews in just a moment once we are done here with your final results here at Auto Club Speedway for tonight's race at Auto Club Speedway. Again, sorry, I'm just kind of frazzled, ladies and gentlemen. I was really hoping we would get a green-white checkered restart there. That is absolutely on my fault as the administrator. Something must have been set up wrong in the background, and that is completely on me. So let's go through your final results here. Again, absolutely well-deserved. Led almost every lap of the race from lap 25 on. David Lakey, your race winner here at Auto Club, is first in series history. And again, the Bandit Racing League starting up in a couple weeks. I'm sure he'll be looking forward to carrying that over into that series. But David Lakey, your race winner tonight. Mitch Morrow coming home in second, his third podium of the season. What a rookie year it's been for the driver of the number 66. Could be a dark horse contender to win the finale next week at Circuit Joe Villeneuve. Do not be surprised if you see that whatsoever. Christopher Mitchell there in third. Driver of the number 94 gets his first career podium. What a drive from him. He led all the other laps that David did in early race. He was incredible from start to finish. Max Preston there in fourth. Driver of the number 8 car coming home in the fourth position. Marshall Crocker Sr., a great race for him points-wise. He's going to finish in fifth. I believe his third top 5 of the season. What a time to get it. He comes home in the fifth spot. Andrew Bedrossian there, that comeback, probably the most important result of his entire season. He'll pick up points ahead of Trevor Anderson and extend his lead heading into next week's finale at Circuit Joe Villeneuve. Fred Zufeld comes home in seventh. Dan Skilton finishing in eighth. Tanner Dignard was very good all night. He finishes in ninth. David Paxa is going to finish in 10th position. He was kind of the most innovative guy there up in that top line, trying to make stuff happen all night. Unfortunately, in the end, it just did not equate to a finish outside higher than the top 10. But again, that may have been partially because of that lack of green-white checkered restart. Trevor Anderson, heartbreaking for him. He was so close. Had that caution not come out, I have no doubt he would have competed there at the line for the finish, for potentially the race win. But unfortunately, no dice in that regard. He comes home in 11th. Michael Nickel in 12th, just ahead of, again, making his debut tonight, Hayden Paul in the 83 car, finishing in 13th. And Jack Hillier, who left the race early, in the 14th spot. That'll cap off your final results here at Auto Club Speedway and the final oval race of Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series Season 2, the 11th round of the season. And now we are ready for your interviews. And the first interview of the race, we're starting with pole sitter and first-time podium sitter, Christopher Mitchell. Let's get him in the broadcast booth in just a moment. There we go, just getting his graphic finished up here, and we are good to go here for your first interview of the night. For the first time in series history with Christopher Mitchell, podium sitter tonight at Auto Club. Hey, Chris, it is Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Christopher, welcome to the broadcast booth, my man. First time podium sitter here in the series. Absolutely congratulations, and it was extremely well-deserved. You get the pole tonight. You make it work all throughout the race. You fight back from that second groove you guys were in after the pit stop all the way back up to the front. Unfortunately, the way it ended, unfortunately, with the lack of green-white checker, that is absolutely on my shoulders. But, Chris, first career podium, man. Just talk us through what was working for you well here at Auto Club on the pole there. Talk about your pole lap and then how you were able to transition into such a great start to the race.
On the pole lap, I held back about nearly a second, and I just got the run and then went on the outside, I believe, and that just gave me that extra speed that I needed.
Yeah, and that track position seemed so vital early on from the inside line up front for the first, I think, 25 laps until David took over after your pit stop. You were just unstoppable. And really, talk about what it's like as a driver in the front spot. I know that the toughest thing to do tonight was to try to pass the race leader, and it never really happened. You and David led the entire race, but how tough is it trying to keep the focus, trying to keep those guys behind you, and not leaving any daylight for the guy in second to get by?
It's really hard to just focus on what you need to focus on rather than the cars around you. If you try and focus on the cars around you, you're gonna go below that white line or actually hit them. So you just have to keep focus.
And then, from your perspective, once you did make that pit stop mid-race that led all those guys ahead, and actually they were able to make it to the end on fuel quite surprisingly, but when you were further back there and had to fight your way back through with Trevor and Marshall from that second groove, what was that like? Were you guys getting some tandem drafting going to leapfrog your way back up? And when you finally got back in the equation, did you feel like it was as tough to pass as it really did seem to be offensively?
Yeah, when we were back there, we were going to try and tandem pass or tandem draft and leapfrog, but then we realized that we were still catching them running in the single file line. So we just kept calm and saved some fuel, and then once you got up there, you had to be lucky and get in line, or else you were going to be stuck in the back.
Well, in the end, again, unfortunately, with that lack of green-white checkered restart, it wasn't able to be on the racetrack. But knowing that you were in that spot this late in the race, I think you absolutely could have held on to that spot, if not improved. So in some ways, it's a blessing and a curse. But you come home third tonight, first career podium in the series. Just, you know what to do, obviously, in these interviews here at the end, if you've watched the broadcast. But first of all, just what's it like, man? You've been here the entire season. You make your rookie debut this year. It was so great to have you join. Again, we used to card against each other back in the day, so great to see you join here. But talk about the journey this season. You've got some top fives, but to finally get on the podium, what's it like? And then if you want, you can wrap that into your thank yous, your shout-outs, and your final thoughts.
Yeah, it's really exciting, honestly. Like, I've had good runs, but I've never been able to put together the races, especially on road courses. I'm fast, but then I end up without the consistency and spin. So yeah, it's really hard, but I'd like to thank you for putting on this the league and broadcasting this, and I'd like to thank my parents.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much to your parents for watching, and hopefully they were able to enjoy this race tonight, because again, it was really action-packed from start to finish, really entertaining, and to see you get that first career podium, again, not at the road courses as you were saying, but the way you've been building pace this week. You were great last week at Mosport, if I remember, on raw pace, so really hoping that either next week at Circuit de Villeneuve or in the future when we come back for Season 3 next year, really hoping you keep working, because you've been really improving over the course of the season, and this podium absolutely proves that. So congratulations, Christopher. Celebrate this week, get ready for the finale next week, and just congratulations, man, on a great drive tonight.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot.
There we go. Thank you to Christopher Mitchell tonight for getting his first career podium, giving us a chance to talk to somebody different in the broadcast booth. Again, not only his first career podium, but he also started on the pole to do it, so he'll take away some bonus points and come away with what is, again, a really great result for him, and a really great result for anybody in the series, but particularly somebody getting the first career podium. And what a race to do it in tonight, a race as competitive as tonight's. Just going to quickly get the graphic set up here for Mr. Mitch Morrow, your second place finisher tonight in a bounce back performance from last week's race at Mosport here at Auto Club. Hey, Mitch Marshall of the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, Mitch, I am unfortunately sorry to you and all the drivers for the way that race ended. No green-white checkered. That is absolutely an admin mistake on my part. But in the end, it did kind of work out in some ways. Meant that you were able to settle for second. Though I do think the pace you had at the end there may have robbed you of a win. But just you come in tonight off of last week's race at Mosport, heartbreaking the way that ended. Was there's somewhat of an essence of kind of payback, trying to get some redemption this week after a really great series of races in a row before Mosport, and then of course the unfortunate incident that last week. Was there some element of kind of looking to get a bounce back this week?
Well, I knew coming in here that I was looking forward to, because small ovals I haven't had the best luck with, especially the last oval we did. And Indy, I definitely think I had the pace and the knowledge to try and challenge for that win, but unfortunately just a lot of accidents that put me laps down. But yeah, I was coming in here going, all right, this is the oval where I really want to do well. And came in here thinking the strategy is just stay back, let all the accidents happen, stay out, because it's a long race, 90 laps. So that was my plan at the beginning, and I think I did it. Unfortunately, I think there was one accident I was in at the beginning, and then I had to come pit. But after that, it was fine. And then just kept my head down, and then it was a long race. And then as we got to the later stage of the race, where it was really clean, I mean, I think we were green for over 20 laps, so that was really good. And then found myself in fourth, so I was in the second lane, the outside lane, and it was looking good. I mean, my plan was to overtake Trevor and pull out just beside him, and then try and get P1. I mean, that was my strategy. But then unfortunately I saw David behind me, and he kept practicing his move. I think he kept pulling out and then going alongside me. So if he kept doing that, I wouldn't be able to pull out and then pass Trevor. So that would put me in a terrible situation. So I knew that I had to make a pass for it. So I ended up doing that on Trevor. And then I don't know what happened. We just had a crash. Don't think it was me. I'm not really sure. I'll have to look back. But yeah, just big crash. And then that brought out the caution. And then yeah, unfortunately we didn't get to do a green-white checkered. But honestly, I think P2 is fantastic. I mean, David definitely deserved it. He led every single lap. So I think if there was someone to get beaten by, I'm glad it was him. And yeah, I'm just happy I could get P2. Another podium for me. And yeah, I guess it is really a redemption for last race.
Yeah, no doubt, and it's more valuable points to add to your tally this season. I think you missed a couple races there at the very start of the year. I think if you made every single one, you would absolutely be in contention for a top 5 spot in the championship. My voice is dying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Gateway was my first race. And I think like the first 3 races I didn't even finish on the top 10. So
yeah,
I'm happy I could finish strong. Yeah,
constant improvement so far this season, and yeah, so great to see it. You summed the race up perfectly there, and yeah, very well deserved to David. But I genuinely think you would have had a shot there at the end had you had the time. But just finally, next week we got one more race to go. You picked up I think 3 podiums and what 6 races. Like you've just come alive here at the end of the season. So. One more race to go next week at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, back in the same setup, the same low downforce sort of problems we were having at Mosport. Yeah, what are your chances? Do you think you kind of learned that setup quite well because you had the pace at Mosport? And what do you think you can carry into the season finale?
Yeah, I think if the setup's going to be the same and drivers are going to have the exact same problem with just very low stability in the rear, I think I definitely have a great shot at winning. I'm going in there believing I could win. Like, I'm not going to go in there hoping for a podium. I'm going there for the win, so... Yeah, last race of the season, and it's a great track. I haven't really driven this track really ever. I think the only time I've ever driven this track is on the Formula 1 game, so it'll be definitely a learning curve again, but looking forward to it.
Awesome.
And, yeah, it's an exciting track.
That's what I like to hear, and yeah, hopefully going to make for some fun racing, but I think a lot of people are in the same situation as you who haven't raced it much on iRacing, so we'll see who takes to it quite well there, learning it from scratch. But my voice, speaking of scratch, my voice is absolutely dying. It's been a great race tonight, plenty to call, and Mitch, you almost capitalized on it at the end there. Almost got that first win, but 3 podiums this season. Very few drivers can say that about this year so far. So you've proven an elite talent that I think is absolutely going to transition into a win one day in the future. But for now, you know what to do here in the broadcast booth. You're getting pretty good at getting here to do it. So any shout-outs you want to give, friends and family, sponsors you want to mention, now's your time to do so.
Oh, yeah, I just want to say thank you to my mom, my dad, and my girlfriend for watching every single race. I don't think they've missed more than one, so... Yeah, I'm really happy they were able to watch this race for sure. Glad I got P2 for them. And I have to say, though, I'm going to shout out Andrew because Andrew finished 6th, and he is now extended his championship lead, and he raced on an Xbox controller. What a legend. He finished 6th, didn't make a big mistake, and he raced on an Xbox controller on a MacBook or like some laptop like that.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't believe it. Yep. Your championship leader raced on an Xbox controller.
Okay, that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Yeah, he was just off the pace all night, but there we go. We had questions about that in the chat. That answers it. And to come home with a P6, that is nuts.
Yeah, he usually races VR and with racing shoes, a full suit, like he's decked out. And to go from that to an Xbox controller sitting on his bed, crisscrossed. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
That is incredible. So congratulations, Andrew, for what is maybe then the most impressive performance of the night, but. No, thank you for that tidbit, Mitch. That is so cool. And no, congratulations, man. 3rd podium of the season. What a year it's been for you. Congrats on another great performance. And shout out to all your family watching there and supporting you for what is becoming a recurring theme that you make it to the podium.
Yeah, thank you, Marshall.
Oh man, we are dying here on the broadcast side. My throat is just gone. Usually it doesn't go this quick, but it was a lot to commentate over tonight, and it's been a busy couple nights for me. So one more interview to go. Hopefully my voice holds out for one more. And this is a guy I've interviewed before in the Bandit Racing League and never in this series. First career podium, first career win for Mr. David Lakey. Let's get his graphics set up and then our final interview of the night. And we are good to go. There we go. What a night it's been. Absolutely dying throat-wise, but we will try to make it through. There we go. Graphic is all set up. Time for your race winners interview with race winner here at Auto Club, Mr. David Lakey. Hey, David, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Marshall, what's up?
Oh, my voice is absolutely dying here on the broadcast booth, so apologies in advance for the worst squeaking you've ever heard. But David, You have done it, my man. First career win in the Bandit, or not the Bandit Racing League, and the other league you're in, the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. What a year it's been for you. You came so close at Indianapolis. You lead almost 70 laps tonight here, and you come home for a dominant win at Auto Club. Just talk us through it there. Once you took the lead on that, I think the third caution of the race, just you didn't look back. What was it like defending there, and what were you having to put up with from the guys behind?
It was stressful. I'm not gonna lie. It was also fun. There was a lot of chat going back and forth between all the drivers. I didn't qualify very well. I was trying to help Hayden out and try to give him some speed. He qualified P2, so I was happy for him. And then throughout the race, a couple issues. I think maybe my front wing touched Hayden's wheel. I was trying to make a move on the outside. Had to go in the pits. Had to use my fast repair. But after that, I took fuel, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to need fuel again for the rest of the race. So from there, I just tried to methodically move my way up. And then once I got in P2, I realized how hard it was to pass the leader on the inside. So I knew if I got to that inside line, I would defend it with everything I possibly could. And lucky for me, one of the cautions, the leader, I think it was, it might have been Christopher Mitchell. I think it was in lead when he pit, which gave me the lead, and I just wasn't going to give it up after that.
Very clearly so, and yeah, just a dominant drive from start to finish for you. And it's such an interesting race you're running in the Formula Renault at Auto Club and at Indianapolis earlier this season, the bigger ovals. So compared to your background in stock car racing, obviously at very high speeds as well, but when you race at Auto Club here in a NASCAR, it's so loose, so slippery, whereas here in the Formula Renault, it's just all about focus and attention. So how is the skill set different racing at an oval in these cars compared to the stock car side of things, and do you feel like have you maybe learned anything for this season of the Bandit League from driving in this series of the ovals?
Well, I think it's night and day when it comes to driving these cars versus stock cars. I didn't lift a single time, and all I did was focus on that white line and try to make like the most minute adjustments to my wheel when I was making those turns. Because whoever was on my outside before the caution, I can't remember who it was, because I was so intently focused on that white line that they were catching me. I think we're going back and forth about who was getting to the start finish line first, and there was a couple times I got bested. I was losing a couple laps to him. I think it might have been Trevor, but I was getting a little nervous towards the end, and I hate the fact that we didn't get that green white checkered at the end. I really wanted to see what would happen in that circumstance. I think I still could have pulled it off, but I hate that it ended under caution.
Yeah, that's absolutely on my side as an administration thing. I think a lot of the default settings for the usual sessions were messed up with an update. It's happened before, but that is absolutely on me. Real shame it didn't end under green, but yeah, I think absolutely under a restart, the way you had it locked down there, especially on the starts, the way you were backing everybody up behind you, preventing runs, I think that was absolutely going to pay off there at the end for you. So David, there you go. First win in the series. You do it in an oval quite fittingly, but you've also been quite consistent this season at the road courses. I think you'll move up into 5th in the points, could potentially go as far as 4th next week. So we're coming to the end of the season next week there. You've made it all the way through with us. We go to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Is any part of you kind of excited there? Is that a road course you know much about? And then just kind of cap off your time making the debut in the series this season and what it's like to kind of get towards the end and cap it off with a win.
Well, I am excited for next week. I've never raced that track. I'm actually going to have to purchase it. But I'll learn it throughout the week. I'll put in some practice. I would like to finish in the top 5. That way maybe I can creep up into P4 for the overall standings. But I think it's going to be an exciting race. I'm really looking forward to seeing Nick and Andrew, which was on an Xbox controller tonight.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see those two battle it out. I think it's going to be a great finish to the season. I've had a lot of fun in this series. That's the first time ever doing open wheel, and I think you got me hooked, Marshall. I think I'm definitely going to be back for the next season.
Yeah, you've definitely got a ton of skill. I've been impressed all season how much of the consistency is there. You've definitely grown over the course of the year. The pace is getting better and better. So, if you finish the season in a half road course series in 4th ahead of experienced karting drivers, guys that have been running these cars, well, not this exact car, but very similar cars for a number of seasons, that would absolutely speak to your ability to adapt and ability at the open wheel road course racing. So I'm so glad that we've got you into this world and this discipline, and you've knocked it out of the park, David. So congratulations on the entire season and what you've accomplished, and tonight as a microcosm, just a dominant win here at Auto Club. And now to the part that we always do at the end of the interviews, but you got some people specifically you got plenty of supporters tonight in the YouTube side of things, plenty of people cheering you on. So If you want to give any shout outs to friends and family, anybody in the chat, if you want any mention any sponsors or just anything you want to talk about, now's your time to do so.
Yeah, thanks, Marshall. First of all, I got to thank my wife and my kids for giving me the time to do the racing. They're out of town right now, but throughout the week they give me, Dad his free time to do his racing. So I really appreciate my wife for that. And I got to thank my mom. She always watches. She's a huge supporter. She doesn't really miss a race. My sister watches. Appreciate her as well. They text me during the race like I can read them, which is funny because I'm too focused on racing. And then my buddy, Sergeant First Class Wamhoff. Appreciate him watching. I honestly almost didn't come to the race tonight, Marshall, because I had 24-hour duty yesterday, and I'm operating off maybe like an hour and a half worth of sleep. But I decided, you know what, it's my last chance to probably get a win. Got to make up for what happened to Indy, and I'm just glad I could put it on the podium. I was going to be happy whether I finished 1, 2, or 3. I just wanted to be able to talk to you after the race. So thanks for the race. It was awesome.
No, it is absolutely my pleasure. I'm so glad you jumped over with us this season, and yeah, that is insane. 1 hour of sleep, and you come away at one of the most high intensity, high focus races of the entire year. So it's so great to talk to you again, David. I hope I talk to you very soon in the near future in the Bandit League when we jump over there in a couple weeks. But great drive tonight, man. So glad we brought you over, and I just wish you the absolute best of luck going forward, and best of luck next week, learning Gilles Villeneuve. So congratulations, I believe our 5th or 6th race winner of the season, first career in the series, David Lakey. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, Marshall. I appreciate it, buddy.
There you go. He's going to do his final burnout. He's going to do some more donuts there, and that will round off tonight's broadcast. Again, the voice is absolutely going. I sound like a completely different brand of broadcaster. I sound like those guys that commentate the Nerf commercials, who sound just a combination of both 8 and 28 consecutively. So I'm just absolutely losing it here, folks. We're going to watch the burnouts here for just a moment. We're going to prepare your final schedule, and it is very simple. Next week, we head to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the finale. That is it. That's going to be the end of your season. And that was the selection of Trevor Anderson. Again, a guy who, if he had finished second, if that last wreck had not happened, would absolutely be in contention for next week. And again, he likely still is. But Andrew Bedrossian, who ran tonight on an Xbox controller after some hardware issues, that may be the move of the season. What a decision from Andrew. He's going to be an absolutely deserving champion if he takes it away next week. And just what a season it's been. One more race, March 27th, and that'll round off your season. Actually, that's going to get moved. It will not be March 27th, ladies and gentlemen. I should officially announce that now. That race, we're going to put it on the Monday. We're going to provisionally say that. So for anybody watching the broadcast back, and I'll make an announcement about it early tomorrow, it's going to be moved to Monday. So next week's race, tune in on March 28th. We're going to put up plenty of stuff about it. We're going to try to get as many drivers as we can back at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We're going to end the primarily Canadian series, or at least Canadian in the way it was founded. We're going to end it in Canada at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve to round off our season. And what a year it's been, folks. Congratulations again to race winner David Lakey. He gets his first career win here in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series in his debut season. And that'll about round us off here. For the final time, I just want to thank our sponsors, as always, of the series. First of all, going to shout out Evan Wall Media. He makes all the graphics for this series. Anything you've ever seen this season visually on your screen that is not actual racing or graphics, overlays and stuff like that for driver positions, that is him. Absolutely thank you for everything he did for us this season. And I can't wait to work with him again for next week, getting ready for the Bandit Racing League. Other than that, Full Set Racing Network, as always, is the channel you're watching this series on. But most importantly of all, we want to thank CanadianMiniIndy.com for premier karting in the Ontario area. If you're up here in Ontario, Canada, like many of the drivers in this series, as well as myself are, that is where you want to get started. If you want to get started in racing, Arrive and Drive Karting is the place to get started. Some great drivers, really competitive racing, a really great community, and most of the drivers in this series come from that background at different levels. If you're like Christopher Mitchell, tonight's podium sitter, you can move up into the Briggs categories. You can move your way up through into higher disciplines of racing. But for now, you can at least get started in the Arrive and Drive. To check out anything like that in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, I cannot recommend it enough. Go check out CanadianMiniIndy.com, supporter of this series. They get the word out about our races, and hopefully many of you have come to join us as a result of them. And that'll round us off, ladies and gentlemen. For myself and everybody else who helps out, Christopher Ferrara, our race director, thank you as always for everything he does, volunteering each and every week to come help us out. For everybody in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series, we will see you next week for the finale next Monday on March 28th at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where we will declare a champion for Season 2 of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next Monday.